Coming up, Ty from Comeuppance is back, and we'll be looking at two films. We're looking at Overrun, which doesn't star, he has a very small part, but our new favorite actor, Bruce Dern. And then the second film is Phoenix, which is written and directed by Daniel Zirilli. Then next week, I know, I say usually with this, but there's only been a couple times to really set a precedent on this, but normally, right, in the past two times that I've done a DTVC extra franchise series, when I completed that franchise, right, I took a week off, right? So, I finished Fast and Furious, took a week, and then went into Kickboxer. Kickboxer finished, took a week, then went into Expendables. So I guess that's the most precedent we have, but I think I'm going to not do that next week. I think I'm going to jump right into the next franchise. And I've been kicking around what that franchise should be. And there's a part of me that thinks I should just jump right into the Blood Fist series. I think, from direct-to-video connoisseur, into direct-to-video films, covering direct-to-video films, Blood Fist is kind of the number one direct-to-video franchise, I think. I mean, maybe American Ninja is a good one. So there's a few others, but I mean, Blood Fist in terms of just the sheer volume of movies, right, is definitely up there. And so it's probably about time that I covered it. The other thing is, right, of course, when I started this DTVC Extra series, the plan was to just sort of have some content on the weeks when we don't have a podcast, where I don't have a guest. I think it's just not quite able to book enough people to have guests every week. And who knows, maybe at some point I'll get to that level where I can do a guest every week. But I wanted to kind of develop this solo project thing where I could look at films on my own, talk about them, see how it goes. And so the plan was originally to do big screen franchises, and that's why we started with the Fast and Furious. I mean, the main reason why the Fast and Furious, why I started with that, is that most of those ones were available free to stream, so it was easy for me to get at them, and then I could go in the theater and see Fast 10 or Fast X or whatever it was called. That was part of the plan there, and so then I was thinking about kind of going on with some other franchises, some other big screen ones, so Mission Impossible, maybe Marvel Phase 1, some of the Batman ones, some things like that. But the response that I got to the Fast and Furious one kind of, I don't want to say it was lukewarm. It was kind of more like there was a sense of does this fit with what's going on with direct-to-video connoisseurs? Anybody can talk about the Fast and Furious movies, but we come to Matt for these low-budget ones. Matt and other fellow podcasters that cover these kinds of movies. So that's where the idea came for the Kickboxer one, because then the Kickboxer films were all on Tubi, so I was able to get them all through there. But they had a mix, right, of mainstream hit like the original Kickboxer, direct-to-video films like those sequels with Sasha Mitchell and then Mark Dacascos, but then also an attempt to get back into the big screen with those reboot films. So it's kind of a mix of the two. And then with the Expendables, of course, the Expendables, even though they were a big screen franchise, right, it was a big screen franchise that had a direct-to-video action feel to it with some of the names involved, especially with Dolph and those people. So that's why that one seemed to work with this one. But I think those are the kind of movies that seem to resonate a little bit more. I mean, there is a thought. I mean, for me personally, it would be interesting to go into something like a Marvel Phase 1 and just sort of see, watch it and kind of discuss it and go into it. But at the same token, my knowledge of movies and everything kind of comes a little bit more in this direct-to-video vein. And so that's part of the reason why I was thinking about getting into a direct-to-video franchise. And, of course, Blood Fist would be the first one that's entirely direct-to-video, I'd say, that I covered on here. I think that's where I'm going next, but that's kind of the plan, is to just kind of see how that goes. And then, what that would be is probably what would be 4 2-movie episodes, and I might sneak in that kind of that last one there. What was it, Blood Fist 2020, something like that? I can't remember. Whatever year, 2050, whatever the decade was. That one's on YouTube, so I might maybe sneak that in as an extra on the end of the last one that has 7 and 8. So we'll see. I mean, all of them. It's interesting. Tubi has all of the Blood Fists except for 4 and 5. But 4 and 5 are available on YouTube, so I could get them all and watch them all. So, so that's one idea that I have there, and I think that's probably where I'll go next. In terms of actual episodes where we've got guests on and everything, still kind of working some things out there. So, in terms of scheduling wise and all of that, so hopefully we'll get some more guests on soon. But yeah, it's interesting that it worked out this time that we've got Ty on back-to-back episodes, because he and I actually didn't record back-to-back. I recorded Cypher, the one that I did with Tom Joliffe, in between the 2 times that Ty was on. So it's interesting. So for people listening, it's going to feel like he's been on, twice in a row, whereas for us recording it, it's been a while. I think we recorded the episode that had the Get Back and the Weapon. We recorded it in early September. So almost a month later, we're recording this episode that you're going to be hearing in a minute here. So it's been a while for Ty and I, but for as a listener, right, it feels like it's right there. So so we'll see. But Yeah, we'll kind of see as we get into the fall, how it'll work out in terms of further episodes. But I mean, my goal is to make sure I have guests on at least for all of the every other week, 2 weeks from today, a month from today, that kind of thing, to always have a guest on there. So that'll be the plan. We'll see what happens there. And then in terms of the site, we've got Rowdy Girls coming up this weekend, which is going to be the film that gets Shannon Tweed inducted into the Hall of Fame. Of course, also have another film for Julie Strain. Also a trauma film, right? So it's a Western, a trauma Western, which is always an interesting thing. I had thought I had seen this one before. I think I did. But anyway, when I watched it this time, it was on Tubi. I'd been waiting for it to get on Tubi because it's one that I'd been wanting to watch. When I did watch it on Tubi, it seemed like it had all of the nudity and everything that you wanted from it. So it at least it didn't feel like it was censored or anything like that. So I feel like I've seen it. I mean, the whole thing felt very familiar. So, but I just, I couldn't. It came out in 2000, so 23 years ago. Sometimes it's not always easy to remember. So anyway, that'll be what we'll have coming up on Saturday. 2 weeks from then, we'll be doing our last Hall of Fame induction post, and that will be Night of the Wilding, where we'll be inducting Spiro Rosatos. Now, the interesting thing is that Spiro Rosatos just does stunts on that one. He's not a stunt coordinator or second unit or action director like he was. I think it's because I covered most of the PM flicks where he really did his great work. I mean, Recoil is an obvious one that comes to mind, but a lot of those ones from that period, I've already covered them. So I kind of just wanted somebody that had his name in the credits. He's in Night of the Wilding. It's not quite an action film, though it sneaks some action in at the end. If you haven't seen it before, it's on YouTube. It's a real interesting one. I believe I have it included in my PM Entertainment playlist on my YouTube site. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I don't know how that works when it comes to playlists, but on my YouTube channel, it's a DTV Connoisseur YouTube channel. I don't have any videos up, but I have some playlists, and one of them is PM, where I'm trying to sort of collect all the PM flicks that are on YouTube. So if they're not on Tubi or something like that, people can go and watch them. And actually, the version that's on YouTube actually isn't that bad. I mean, that's the thing it's very hit or miss, right? With some of these PM flicks on YouTube, is some of them can be really, really rough. I think it was L.A. Heat, not the TV show, but I think the movie. I don't know if it was L.A. Heat or it was one of those ones, with Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, where it was, the print on there is just horrible. But you can at least see it. So that's I'll be doing in 2 weeks, and then after that, right, Dolph Lundgren's birthday is coming, so we're going to do his 70th post or 70th film on the site for his birthday. It's going to be 4 Got 10, which I know is not the best Dolph movie, but we're running out of options here with Dolph. We either had those or the Expendables flicks, and to be honest, Expendables 3 and 4 are the two that I haven't covered yet. I almost like 4 Got 10 better as a Dolph movie than those two, so we'll see. And of course, what the interesting thing is that also has Danny Trejo in it, who we just inducted last weekend. Also put him in the 30 club. So interesting, that we'll be kind of doing another Trejo film so soon after that. But that, again, that's just how it works out. And then I think the week after that, I think we might be getting Art Camacho into the 50 club. So that's the other piece, right? Is that Art Camacho is sitting on 49 films, so he's close to joining the 50 club. And so for that, it would be Chinatown Connection, which is also on YouTube. That was a suggestion by Ty. Ty was he's saying like, well, what should the Art Camacho 50th post be? And he's like, well, he stars in Chinatown Connection, so that's probably a good one. And I thought, that sounds fantastic. And again, it's on YouTube, so. We'll be doing that one, in the near future there. So, in terms of other things we've got going on, just recently, Sean Malloy, I believe it was on Saturday, he posted his, Sean Malloy of I Must Break This podcast. So, really definitive Dolph Lundgren podcast that he does. He's kind of close to closing up shop on that. He's almost run out of Dolph movies. He's getting kind of towards the end of the Dolph films there. But he has a great podcast. Really does a really great. The thing with his podcast is that he'll bring people like myself on to talk about the movies, but then he'll also do interviews with people behind the scenes that I really, really appreciate. And again, I always talk about the one I always talk about is Benjamin Sachs, the line producer who worked on films like Stormcatcher with Dolph, but also worked on a lot of the Seagal films that he's kind of notorious for at this stage. And he kind of really gives some good behind the scenes on kind of what that process was like that I just thought was really fantastic. But yes, what he decided to do for the Expendables 4 was, he did an interview on another podcast, and I'm drawing a blank on the name right now, which is horrible. I should have written it down before I went in here. But anyway, on his most recent episode, it was actually his 100th episode of his podcast, I Must Break This Podcast. He kind of used the audio from when he was a guest on another show to talk about, when he was there to talk about Expendables 4. And then he had some other podcasters on. And so in addition to me, Rich Hawes from DTV Digest, who you may have know from him being, on this site. I mean, you should also be subscribed to DTV Digest. So I'm giving you a lot of podcast recommendations here, right? With I Must Break This Podcast, Ty from Comeuppance, and now DTV Digest. But anyway, he gives his thoughts on Expendables 4, and then I gave my thoughts as well. So I did maybe a 5 or 6 minute kind of rant on Expendables 4. But one of the things I really liked about the way Sean approached Expendables 4 a little bit differently from the way I approached it is he kind of went into some of the real tonal issues of it, like a lot of the dick jokes in there, the kind of the crass 2-year-old humor that you get a lot of in that movie. Randy Couture's peeing on a trap door to get it to open or something like that, like that kind of stuff. And I kind of was going more for just the sloppier nature of it, the things were kind of put in the film that I thought just kind of, I don't know, it just didn't seem like they fit right or that kind of thing. So, a really good other take on the film. But I think definitely check that out. Again, you can hear me on that podcast as well. The other one that I've guested on, so this wasn't really more of a recent guest, because that I mentioned that I've been working on with the project I'm working on with John Cross of After Movie Diner is that middle-aged men watching 90s era Jim Belushi unironically, where we're watching the Jim Belushi films. And so the issue that he's run into is that those films get taken down when we stream them. So YouTube actually canceled our live stream for the second film that we did, Separate Lives. So you could have seen it on Twitch and all that. But what he's going to do is kind of pull the full videos behind his paywall on his Patreon. But then on his After Movie Diner podcast, he's putting up edited audio versions of them. So the one we did for Traces of Red is available on his podcast stream. So I'm going to put the link to that on my Facebook page. If you're on the Facebook page, you can go ahead and check that out. But again, you should be subscribed to After Movie Diner as well. Great podcast. I mean, he's been doing this longer than probably any of us, or at least us in the sort of the low budget movie sphere. He and Mo Porn of Drunk on VHS. They got me into this, doing this podcast here. So that's how we got here. But it was a lot of fun. I'm not sure when the next episode is going to come. Maybe in a couple weeks. Kind of. Watch my socials, and I'll keep you abreast. I'm not even sure what one we're going to do yet, but it's definitely going to be some Jim Belushi from the 90s. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. The first two we've done so far have been a lot of fun. And we've run into some technical glitches. Again, the YouTube pulling the stream. John's video had some issues towards the end of the episode, but for the most part, they've kind of worked out. Essentially, the way it works is that we find the movie usually on the first two ones have been on Tubi, and then John has been using I think it's called StreamYard. It pushes the feed to was YouTube for his YouTube channel, Twitch, and Facebook Live. I don't know what's going to happen with YouTube now if they're going to cancel the stream that quickly. So maybe we won't be able to do that one, but at least Twitch and Facebook Live, so you can comment live and watch it, live in person. But then if you miss it, that's where the issue I think comes in, where you might have to catch the kind of the edited audio version or support through Patreon, which I always recommend supporting. If there's a way to support an artist, I think Patreon. I'm not sure what the tiers are that he has for donations for each month, but I'm sure once we get a good wealth of videos up there, it'll be worth checking them out there. But at the very least, you can check out his After Movie Diner podcast feed for the edited audio version of the one that we just did recently. All right, and then again, novels, books, all that stuff, right? We got to always talk about those. So, Bainbridge, my short novel. It seems like action novella doesn't sound quite right, so I've been saying short action novel. But Bainbridge is out now, $2.99 on Kindle, $6.99 in paperback, about 80 pages long. It's about a detective in the early 90s in LA, kind of solving crimes. Again, it's got that feel of a PM Entertainment flick or Canon or AIP. It's meant to be kind of like a bad actioner. It at times is a send up to them, other times it's a tribute to them. But if you're into action films, if you like especially action from that period, I think you'll really like this. So definitely check it out. The link is going to be in the podcast description, and I always appreciate all the support there. Then my newest full-length novel should be coming out soon. So I'm still trying to work out finishing the rough draft of this one that I've been working on. And so I kind of have this rule that I picked up from Henry Miller. Henry Miller, right? The Tropic of Cancer guy. He had a few rules when it came to writing books, and one of them was complete the project you're working on. And now I don't completely complete it in the sense that I'll do a rough draft and then I'll let it sit for a while and then reread it, and kind of over a 3-year period get enough rereads in that finally I think it's ready for production. But in that sense of wanting to get it complete, I want to get this rough draft completed before I move on to the final reread of the novel I want to get out. So I'm trying to think of the other rules that he had for writing. I think one was like getting out and seeing people. He said go to museums, which I didn't go to any museums, but I guess for me, maybe the equivalent would be going to baseball games or sporting events. Maybe that's the equivalent there. But so those are some things that he suggested. But that was that big one: complete the thing you're working on. And so I want to get this rough draft completed and then do that final read through of what it's going to be called Don's House in the Mountains. So we'll kind of do that soon. And then, of course, the other thing I've been trying to do is keep up with the podcast and the blog and everything. And one of the things the last thing I wanted to mention is before we get into the podcast, I'm going to try to get my review of Return of the Gwylo, film that Nathan Hill, who's an indie writer, director, producer, actor out of Australia. He was the one who did Lady Terror that I reviewed recently here. I saw Revenge of the Gwylo when I reviewed Lady Terror, just kind of wanted to get, like a little more context on him as a filmmaker, and really enjoyed Revenge of the Gwylo as well. I think for people out there who haven't seen it, it's on Tubi here in the States. My description of it, or my feeling of it, it's the movie that Samurai Cop 2 should have been, to be. That's probably the best way to think of it. It's an action comedy that has some really great references to films like Drive, the Ryan Gosling film that I really enjoyed. But the humor is not so like in your face and over the top, right? It's not like just let's throw Bai Ling on 15 out there and have her scream her head off and just like have people whack each other with swords and scream and all that stuff. The humor is definitely much more, I don't want to say understated. It's just not so in your face, but it's definitely there. I really enjoyed the movie. So I want to get that review out for him because I definitely I want to get the word out about that film, and especially if people are on Tubi, I think you should check that one out. Again, the movie's name is Revenge of the Gwylo. All right, but speaking of Tubi, we've got 2 movies coming up that Ty from Comeuppance and I will be discussing here. So we'll take a break here. We'll have John from our from After Movie Diner play our theme song here, and then we'll get started in with or get stuck in with Overrun. All right. Joined once again by Ty from Comeuppance. Welcome back, Ty.
Hey, I'm back. How's it going?
Yeah, good. It's funny because for people listening to the podcast, right, it's going to be like you were just on, right?
Yeah,
but actually, we recorded that episode way back in early September. So for you and I, I believe so. Because I think I posted it almost at the month mark. It was one of those things where I was like, I downloaded it from Skype like a week or so later, and then when I went to go look for it on my computer, I couldn't find it right away. And I was like, oh man, Skype got rid of the recordings. They get rid of it after a month.
Yeah, it's like after 30 days.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so luckily I'd already downloaded. We were good to go. But yeah, so it's been a month since you and I have recorded. But for people listening, it's like, oh, Ty was just on 2 weeks ago.
Nope.
So yes, yeah, right, exactly, perfect. So
you said it's been a while, right? So it's like then made me think of Stained. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah. You got the guy just strumming the guitar. It's like it's been a while.
Yeah. It's been a while.
And then someone says that, I just think of the song. It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I kind of do the same. Yeah, some of those songs, like especially.
I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Add a few more lyrics.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Now,
go ahead. You're talking
yeah.
about Stained?
Well, no. I was thinking that it's been a while that we talk about what we've been watching lately. So yeah. So anything interesting that you've seen
Let's see.
lately?
So I watched a couple Tubi movies, originals, which were The Final Rose, which is like a slasher, like bachelor parody slasher
Yeah.
movie, which I thought was pretty good. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen that or not. And I watched First Person Shooter, another Tubi original.
Oh, interesting.
And I've also been watching Amen, the show of Sherman Helmsley.
Oh, the Sherman Helmsley show. Yes, I remember that used to be on Saturdays.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, yeah. I think it was when Golden Girls moved to Saturdays. I think they had
Mhm.
like if I'm remembering this right, I think
Okay.
NBC had this night of like on Saturdays of like Amen, Golden
Mhm.
Girls, and Empty Nest. And there might have been another show in there too that I can't remember, but maybe
Classic
like
Mulligan.
227. Yeah.
227. I need to watch more Empty Nest. I don't remember just seeing him. Was Mulligan's on the beach, and then I think
Yeah.
I may have just changed the channel, but just like I remember that. Maybe I should watch
Yeah.
Empty Nest. And I should watch Charles in Charge. But here's
Oh
the thing
yes.
about Amen. I'm gonna jump ship. This is
Yeah.
exclusive. Because I think it was episode 9 or 10 of season 2.
Yeah.
Because it was the worst episode of all time. And I'll
Right.
tell you what happens. So Sherman Helmsley's daughter adopts a 9-year-old. It's like, okay, fine. So she comes by. She says, "Can I have a Coke?" And then the daughter says, "No, we don't have any." She starts to scream for 18 minutes straight on the episode. You got me. I had to mute it. I had to mute the episode.
Wow.
And then you feel like the sound goes through the mute because it's so much screaming. You ever had
Right.
that happen?
Yes. Yeah. You can kind of almost hear the screaming without it.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
terrible. It sounds like that. Terrible. Amen. Episode's terrible. Don't like Sherman. He didn't vote for me. I think he might have died before he got the vote for me, but he would have voted for me anyway.
If Sherman
Hell
really
of a
liked me, he
rat.
would have stayed alive. If he was loyal, he would have stayed alive to vote for me.
Really admit George Jefferson, great guy. So it's like, so yeah, I think I'm gonna jump ship. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm done.
It's a very interesting thing about with a lot of those sitcoms from that time period because my wife Jen and I were noticing this with Night Court, and people might think this is sacrilege, but we were watching like Night Court reruns on one of the retro channels, and we're like, wow, this show really wasn't that good, and we had this idea in our head of it being this really great show, and I guess part of it is like on the NBC block back then on Thursday nights, it was the 9:30 show. So, being younger, you're falling asleep at 9:30. You probably don't really remember the show much. But also the theme song is fantastic,
Oh,
right?
it's great. That's how it keeps it going. I jump ship after a while because it's like, wait, I think the show's falling off.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah. But the theme song makes you think it was such a great show that you're watching and you're like, man, all these jokes are bad. Like what like
I think it tried in the first
Yeah.
first 2 seasons, and then like, oh no, Bull's
Yeah.
like doesn't want to be a bailiff anymore, which is funny, I guess. But then
Mhm.
I think he almost fell out of a window, and I was like, okay, we're done. I'm done.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Stick
it
to
was
the
always
court.
Yeah, it was always stuff like that happening. You're just like, what is going on here? So yeah, so I think that's one of those things about those sitcoms back then is that we sort of have this fondness for them just because we remember like the theme song, remember like the ideas of them. But then you actually watch it and it's like, man, like the writing on these shows, it's just
Some
like
of the writing has been poor. I mean, like Night Court
yeah,
held on for a little while. Amen. Amen tricked me because
right.
it was going well, and then real steep dive. It was a really good episode, and then there's that one I just mentioned. It was terrible, worst episode of all
Right.
time.
Yeah.
I was looking it up, see if anyone's reviewed it or anything like that. No one. So
Right, because probably people haven't seen enough Amen, haven't gone back to enough Amen to be able to do that. But yeah, you know what I think they were trying to do with that Amen. Now that thinking back, I think they were trying to build on that tradition of Good Times when they had Janet Jackson's character on and her mom was abusive, and they were trying to sort of have this sort of it's like one of those things, right, where they're trying to work in like they're trying to work it in these trying to talk about these issues, right? But like they don't
yeah, it
know how to
doesn't
handle
fit.
them, right?
Yeah, they did it almost well in one episode. It was about like a teen suicide hotline.
Yeah.
And they did that pretty well, and then this episode happened, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Right.
So it's like,
Because the show is sold to you as this like goofy Sherman Helmsley vehicle, and it's like, and you see like the commercials, he's like dancing around in the
yeah,
church
he
and
does do
making
that.
jokes
He
and
does,
stuff.
yeah, he
Yeah.
does it, but then it all depends on the plot. But it says executive producer Sherman Helmsley. It's like, why didn't you executive produce this one?
Right.
It's
Right,
called
exactly.
Thelma's Little Girl. That's her
Right.
daughter's name, Thelma. So I don't know. I don't want to get on a rant on it, which I already did.
No.
Or what's that Dennis Miller? I want to go on a rant here. It was like Christmas later. So I was talking about Christmas. Well, I talk about Christmas every day, but it's like, so it's like he's still not working. I'm not working. I'm still on the strike. But but Dennis Miller, I think he should be in SAG, right? Because he did Bordello of Blood.
Right. Well, and I think just being on SNL, I think maybe I don't know how that works, but I
That's
think
a good question because I guess he's playing a character.
right. Because I think he did sketches. Like he didn't do a lot of sketches. Like he mostly just did the Weekend Update, but he did some. He would do a sketch here or there.
It's funny because he's not the greatest actor, but it's something about him though.
Right.
It's like I feel like I just rewatched Bordello of Blood. I know it's spooky season, it's Halloween. Do you call it spooky season? It's kind of like Thanksgiving. People call it Turkey Day.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
Do you call it spooky season? But
I don't know, because I think one of the things for me with horror movies is because I've never been as big of a horror fan, so I don't do like sort of the 31 Days of October stuff like that. But I do think I do think of like the spooky season thing, but the other thing that's interesting too is like the resurgence of spooky season, right? Because for a long time there was a situation where you get like a week or two of Halloween and then Christmas would come back, and suddenly they're starting Christmas stuff, and so in a way it's almost refreshing, right, that there's such a thing as spooky season now, because it's better than just suddenly having Christmas cookie end caps in late September.
And not only that, though, I go on because Instagram, because I'm a teenage girl, still a teenage girl. I guess I haven't grown up yet, but they show these like memes, I guess, of Mariah Carey's like she's falling out. It's time for All I Want for Christmas Is You. Exactly. She's falling out, and then they show. I think they had Mariah Carey's like, "Hey, look, I'm falling out." I was like, "Uh-oh, you know the truth." I think I avoided it most of the year last year. All I Want for Christmas Is You. I think I heard it once, like a snippet. So that's my goal.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing because we're at the age where we remember when that song was new, right? Like when she released it and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and then you don't really notice it, but now it's like you can't stop hearing it. And also a wonderful Christmas time, or that's not Paul McCartney, but
the Paul McCartney one, yes, yeah. What's the other one? There's one that I hear a lot as well. That's kind of now I'm like completely drawing a blank on it, but it's like kind of in that vein of the Wonderful Christmas Time one. Okay. That's it. That a popular musician did, but I think
Simply Happy. Right. I'm thinking Christmas Time. I know.
Yeah.
It's a classic. That wasn't Wing. That was just regular Paul, right?
I think it was just Paul and Linda. I think.
Okay.
I think Linda's involved with it, but
I mean, it has a good like kind of hook to it. Down, 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 down. Talking about Christmas and Halloween. Right. It's like Christmas in July, Yeah. Wait, we're supposed to talk about movies. Well, what have you been watching?
Well, also, I thought you might get a kick out of this. So, we're in October here on the site, so we do our, our Hall of Fame, inductions, and so Spiro Rosados, right, who's who does like the action directing. Yeah, he's he's part of the inductions for this time, and I was like trying to find a PM flick that he either did stunts on or was a stunt coordinator for. And it turns out I'd reviewed most of the ones that he was like the like Recoil and things like that.
I just taking that,
Yeah, exactly. But he did stunts on Night of the Wilding, so I watched that one finally last night.
There's a good car stunt in it.
Out of nowhere. Right, like you're watching this foot chase, right? So I just want to double check that when you were talking, because I read your review, because out of there's only 3 Amazon or 3 IMDb reviews. You guys down in the Z movies with Steve Q, who I sometimes see on
I check that out once in a while.
Yeah, he's on Twitter, or used to be at least. But I was reading you guys' review, and you guys were saying how. Keep it. We're not going to tell you what happens when the foot chase moves into like the baseball field, and but just watch for it. And it was the car flipping over, right?
Yeah.
Flipping over It is the most amazing thing where you're watching this foot chase. Which the foot chase itself is kind of funny because it's just sort of like just sort of like the kids running really fast. Estrada's not really running really fast, but they seem to be keeping up with each other. And then they go through like this sort of pickup like softball game.
I remember this.
Yeah, and they're running through it, and they go through the field, and there's like a bit of a car crash happening on the street near it. All of a sudden, everybody in the park just flees, right? They just all start running away. And you're like, why are they running? And this one car just like flips over into the park. So,
it's really actually it's a pretty well done stunt.
It is.
I always said when I make my movies, there'll be a bunch of car stunts. Just get
Right,
Spiros to do everything. Here, you do whatever you want.
Right, here you go.
Do whatever you want. Take as long as you want. Here you go.
Yeah, here's a crew of cameramen, stunt people, all that, and you just go do your thing.
Do
Just
your
tell me
thing,
what
do
you
whatever you
got, and I'll write it into the movie somehow.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we would say because we'd be
Yes.
what, co-directors.
Yeah, right,
It's like-
right, exactly.
With no fighting, not like no bickering. Like nope, it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah, go ahead, Spiro. I wonder if because he does all the Fast and Furious movies. I do kind of I think with the most recent one, like they were this new director who was
Mhm.
doing more like kind of like practical stunts and stuff like that. And I think
Good.
yeah, and I think that new director had more of a say and stuff, but I do kind of wonder. I mean, I don't know that like Justin Lin or whoever else was directing the previous ones, if they did that approach, but that would be like the best approach. Even like a Vin Diesel, who I think likes a lot of control over that stuff, to just be like, here's the crew, Spiro, Rosato, just do what you want to do, and then just let us know what you did at the end. We'll watch the dailies and we'll write it into the script somehow.
Exactly. I don't want Vin Weasel, which we can also go to. What do you think, Finn Diesel? We can talk about celebrity fish names, whatever it is, but it's like or celebrity pet names. I did that bit yesterday with Brett too, but I'm happy to keep going.
Oh, nice.
But I can't stop because it's so ridiculous. Like Dennis Quayle,
Dennis Quayle. Yes. Yeah, to give people an idea, before
Randy
Ty and I,
Quayle also.
before we do the episodes, Ty and I will usually kind of go over some stuff on Instagram. We don't really. It's not like always on purpose. It's more like we just kind of start chatting on Instagram, like, hey, you still, yeah, I'm good to go at this time tomorrow.
Yeah,
okay,
I'll set
perfect.
up.
We'll do that. Yeah, and then somehow, then like something about the movie will come up, and then we'll kind of get into some other stuff. And one of the things I'm trying to remember what brought this up about the idea of doing like pet names for celebrity pet names. I can't remember.
I forget why. I can look up the conversation, but just
yeah, there was
sure,
one person in particular, but we started listing out like different celebrity pet names that you'd have.
Oh, it was John Hamster.
Oh, John Hamster. That's right. Because we were talking. Just to give people an idea, we're going to be talking about a movie called Overrun coming up here. So the first of our two movies is Overrun.
Yes.
It has Johnny Messner, who he's been pulling a little bit of a John Hamm kind of vibe with some of his performances. And then you mentioned the idea of having a hamster called John Hamster.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's on this. Like, I look up a list of like celebrity pet names, and that actually came up. It's like, wait a second, like John Hamster, like it's right there. But I mean, I think of like the John Hamster, like you're like a fan. Hey, it's the John Hamster. It's like
right.
Kind of like Jenna Van Oy. I call them Jenna Van Oysters. Right. Because it's right there. So it's like I thought it like 3 months ago. It's like wait, it was right there all the whole time.
Yeah, and some of the ones that we had. I mean, I think the best one out of them was when you had Geese Witherspoon. I think that's like a fantastic.
Yeah, I like
one.
Geese Witherspoon.
Witherspoon. Yes. Yeah, I had a friend growing up who had geese.
Oh, really?
For pets. Yeah, so he had. They were outside, of course. They kind of run around. Like I go and visit, and like the geese would be there, and then they had some ducks as well. They had a good amount of land. So I like the idea of if you got a couple geese, you name one of them Geese Witherspoon.
Because I wanted to talk about Taylor Swift 24/7.
Right.
And I went on to see what it was playing at the movie theater. It's just Taylor Swift, the Eras tour, 3 hours long in IMAX.
Yeah.
And it's like, what about the other movies? Yeah, there's nothing really good playing anyway. But it's just like, then I remembered that Taylor Swift's cat or something is named Olivia Benson. And then that got me grumpy. I said this in the last podcast with Brett, so hear repeated jokes sorely. But it's all material I got. It's like, Olivia Benson. No. Just call it Olivia, or how about Olivia Swift?
Right.
It's like Olivia Benson Swift's like you like SVU too much, or she should be on SVU. That's what we're saying. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Right. Yes.
That would really geese up the ratings of SVU right now. She'd be like an evil. I don't know. How about this? Like Taylor Swift could be like an evil trafficker or something. Yeah. And she actually puts in a good performance, and then maybe like Olivia Benson fights Taylor Swift, like, oh my god, I'm fighting my cat.
You know what would be the thing about Taylor Swift that would, and I know, people are probably like, especially football fans are probably tired of hearing about Taylor Swift.
I hear about this. Yeah, they did 15 cutaways, I heard.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, she's 5'11", and so she could have like a Brigitte Nielsen quality to her as a baddie.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I don't think she needs to have the Annie Lennox haircut necessarily, but that she's been sporting.
Yes.
But I think
that's funny.
Yeah, but as a baddie, she would be really good, I think. And like you could see with that height, that she could, she could play a lot of different kind of parts. The thing is, right, of course, is that like Stallone probably wouldn't want to play opposite her because I think she's taller than him.
I'm not Taylor Swift. I'm Taylor Swift.
Right. You got to film it like this. She has the back, me in front of her in the back, like the same height.
I have bad blood with you. See, I just mentioned one of your songs. I don't have any songs, just from Rhinestone.
Can you imagine her writing the song about like the scene that they had to shoot where Stallone was on a hill so they would look the same height, and she just writes a song about it, becomes a huge hit. I mean,
I'm trying to think of a song. It's like I don't know any Taylor Swift. I only know Bad Blood, and I think Never Get Back Together or whatever.
Right, that one. Like, well, because the thing with Taylor Swift is like, if you ever see like Kathy Griffin's comedy, right? She essentially just tells the whole world about things that other celebrities do around her. So it's like she just she just mines all that material. It's like if you're a celebrity, you shouldn't do anything in front of Kathy Griffin because she's gonna put it in her act. And I always feel like Taylor Swift is like the Kathy Griffin of music, where it's like, if you've had any kind of interaction with Taylor Swift, she's gonna make a song about it and make it into a hit.
I know,
it's like,
even that. It's like that's not good. I don't want to get well, maybe it'd be a good song. I don't know. It's like
the Kelsey song I think is going to be. I'm excited for what the Kelsey song is going to be. I think it's going to be. It'll be interesting.
We thought we had a touchdown, but we didn't have it. It's just like. Then you got cut from the team. So it's just like, and I call your name. There we go. That's the song.
Yes, yeah. Thought I was dating Rob Gronkowski, but I don't know. Yeah.
Which goes into our movie, which is called Overrun.
Yeah, well, we'll dip it. So we had two movies this week, as we usually do. So we have Overrun, and then the next one will come after the break is Phoenix. And we figured we figured Overrun of the two. I don't know about you, but I think Overrun was the better of the two.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Overrun as a movie?
Yeah, exactly. We've got some interesting stuff. So maybe I'll do a quick synopsis of Overrun. And
please, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll jump in. Overrun's a little bit longer. Overrun is an hour and 45, so there's a little bit more in there, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. So Omid Zader, he plays this guy who I guess was a military extraction specialist. That's what he was.
Great name.
Right, exactly. And so
he's
yes, exactly. So
he's a hot mess.
He is, yeah. Exactly.
Is that a Taylor Swift song, Hot Mess?
If it isn't, it should be, right? Like she's for sure. He does like odd jobs for crime boss Robert Miano, and his sister, I guess, may or may not have been an informant for Johnny Messner or something. So what the deal is that Robert Miano's crime boss guy, he kind of would potentially want to kill Zader's sister if he got a chance. So the idea is if Zader does this job for Miano, her debt will be clean and he'll get some money for it or whatever. The only thing, of course, these jobs are always a setup, and he's set up to make it look like he killed crime boss Bruce Dern's son. So Bruce Dern is a Russian crime boss.
Bruce Dern is back as I have his name. It's
Arkady Dunkova. Yeah. So and so
Arkady Dunkova, yeah.
Exactly right. So here's the deal. So Zader is now on the run because he's got to clear his name. At the same time, Johnny Messner is a police detective who had worked with the sister before, so there's a little bit of a soft spot there for the sister, and it means he kind of trusts Zader a little bit more. But there's also crooked cops like William Catt, and so essentially Zader's got to kind of fight his way through all of this and clear his name, stay alive long enough to clear his name, rescue his sister, and get Miano busted. And I think that's pretty much it, right? And then of course there's some assassins that come after him as well, so he's got to fight off the assassins.
I will say this one actually, this is in my notes. It says that it was trying. It's Hearts in the Right Place. It actually tries. There's some production value to it.
Yeah.
Omid Zader could be the new Jalal Murray.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he definitely put in the best performance he can.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's the name. I was trying to think of who a good comp is for Zader, and that's it. Jalal Murray is the comp where it's like he's got the martial arts skills. as a leading man, it's kind of take or
It's
leave
a little iffy, but it was
Right.
okay. Yeah.
But if he surrounds himself with some names, Messner's a good name. It'd be interesting if he could get some other names along the lines of what Murhai's names, right? That he had, right? I mean, he had he had Billy Blanks,
Get Bolo and Cynthia
Bolo,
Rothrock.
right? Right, goes with the classic Cynthia Rothrock story about how Bolo Young was upset that he wasn't getting paid for Tiger Claws 2, and
Yeah.
Cynthia Rothrock's mom happened to be on set at the time, and she went to Cynthia and said, "Bozo's really mad," or something like that.
yeah, Bozo Young. That's brilliant. I call him Bozo Young now. I mean, like, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Right, exactly.
I'm so happy Cynthia said that story.
I know, it's fantastic. So Zader is, I think, like you said, he does a good enough job as the hero, I think, to make this part work. I think, obviously it's a long movie, an hour and 45 minutes.
I called it overlong instead of overrun.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah. So there's that part there. I think, I don't know if you want to get some other pieces of your notes, or if we want to jump into Bruce Dern, his role in this.
Very shortly. I mean, all I have is that. Actually, we should go to Bruce Dern in a second. There was that silly suitcase explosion.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed.
Yes,
and
at the very beginning.
Messner as the mustache is always good. It's kind of looking like John Hamm or Faraway Paré.
Right. Yes. Well, the thing is, too, is that his character is not much of a mustache character. It was kind of like, why do you have a mustache when you're not playing a mustache role, right? Like, he wasn't a mustache cop, but yet he had a mustache. It's like he didn't act to the mustache. You know what I mean? He was doing a little bit too much Ham, a little bit too much Paré in a non-mustache role Paré, I think.
I know. He just it's like, well, can I do Paré or Ham in this one? Oh, I'll do both.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Bruce Dern. Okay, so this is our fifth Bruce Dern. Right?
Yeah.
So we have
we're already at 5. We're already at 5 Derns. I didn't realize that.
So here's what we have. We had Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah.
Then we have Hunting Games, American Violence or Violence.
That's right.
And then we also had wait, what's the other one?
Weapon.
The Weapon. Yeah, The Weapon. And now this one. So this is number 5.
Wow.
He's definitely picking up some speed on the Dernsters on this podcast. He's less complaining in this one. That was my note.
Yeah.
He had some soup. I mean,
like you're interrupting.
What was that tomato? You're interrupting my soup. You're interrupting my soup. Here we go.
Right. Like William Catt shows up to tell him that his son is dead, and he's just like, "You're interrupting my soup. You couldn't wait." And he's like, "No, I need to tell you that it's kind of a bit, it's like I think he said interrupting my dinner, but it's better if it's interrupting my soup, right?"
We can make our own Bruce Dern ad libs, but it's
exactly.
He was technically that was his dinner was soup, so it's like. It looks like good soup. Maybe there were some crackers in it.
I don't know, but yeah, it definitely it was like a good solid tomato of some sort. It seemed like,
Do you put crackers in your soup, or?
I think I what I really like is a good like tortilla chip in like a chicken noodle soup. That sometimes works, but yeah, I think. For a good
I'm an oyster cracker guy.
I was going to say like with the tomato soup, a good oyster cracker actually can really elevate it.
Yeah, I agree with that because we have a place called the Soup Girl that's in Hampton, Connecticut. It's great. They make their own soups. They have the hot soups of the day, and one of them is tomato bisque, and that's what I always get when I go there. And it's like 2 seconds away from my house, so it's literally like a second away. So it's like, oh, okay, might as well get some. I get some soup. I'll get some of the Bruce Dern. So just like
right,
Bacardi or Cardi or Bacardi or whatever it is.
Arcady,
okay.
But I know
Bacardi Arcady.
Right, exactly. But talking about the good soup, it is one of those things where like if you get a good soup, right, and you're ready to eat it, and somebody interrupts you to like talk, and it's like because you only have so much time to eat soup because soup is like for me at least, I don't know if you're the same way, but like
no, I agree with you on this. This is good soup talk.
If it's too hot, right? I don't want to eat it if it's too hot, but you don't want to eat it when it's cold. So there's this sweet spot that you really got to eat it in, and if somebody interrupts you during that, right?
And I bet that's what happened with William Catt. He was interrupted like, finally, my soup is mid, as the people say nowadays.
Right.
It's like, it's like I go on Instagram, it's like mid. It's like, you mean middle of the road? I guess it takes a while to say, but
right.
And here's some other dumb ones called Riz. It's like, what? This is not good. We got to get some better language here.
Right. just because it's hard to type something out doesn't mean that we need to say it, right, you're right. It's like we could, we could still say it out loud when we're talking, but it's like it's almost like the whole world is in like shorthand because nobody wants to type it all out.
Because he's dang texting. Back in the old days of texting, You
Yeah.
had to do, back in the old flip phones, you had to do A1 or 1A1
Yes.
B. It's like you only had 100 characters. That
Right.
wasn't that long ago, or maybe it was, but just like now you can just do whatever. But I
Yeah.
remember on these texting plans, like you can only do so many texts. It's like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. You get that
and you
huge
could,
bill.
yes, and you can get rid of the text. You can cancel a text back in the day. Remember that?
I don't know if
Nowadays
I
you're
remember
goofed.
that part.
If you're
I
fast, if you can press the cancel button fast,
oh yeah, if you get it
you're
before it
good.
goes out there. Yeah, because it did take some time before it went out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it said sending, and then if you're like, oh no, I said something bad to Mo or something,
Right.
cancel. And I
Yes.
think I
Yeah.
did once because he didn't know what I said.
Right.
I canceled it. It
Right.
wasn't. I think it was just something a little bit meaner than usual. It's
Yeah.
just like, but this is a long time. Like, it wasn't. I don't think it was that bad. I just call him like a jerk or something.
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
You're like, oh
I
yeah,
know it
whatever the
wasn't that
fact said.
bad, but
Yeah.
because I don't try to swear on text because you can screenshot in and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Well,
you just
back
gotta be
then I don't think
careful.
you couldn't screenshot text either because
That's true.
right because you couldn't screenshot on a flip phone.
And it would be funny if Barcardi or Cardi was. I can't say. I call him Bacardi.
Bacardi,
But
yeah,
just
yeah.
Bacardi, he was like maybe he's Instagramming his soup. I mean, I could see that we're not talking all about the movie. We're talking about Bruce Dern's soup. Um, but I will say that overall the movie wasn't that bad. That's in my note. So
Yeah.
it was trying. He was less complainy, Bruce
Yes.
Dern.
Yeah. He was less complainy, right? But
Yeah.
he's really leaning into this like kind of like I don't know, like demanding boss routine.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I think other than Most Dangerous Game, where he's kind of more just like giving like a his commentary on hunting, which again, it was like some of the best padding I've ever seen in a
Yeah, it
movie.
was
Like
fantastic.
to start the movie with a Bruce Dern monologue on hunting was fantastic. But the other movies, he just plays like kind of a demanding boss where, like you said, he's not as complaining here, but he is still very much like his henchman comes in and says, hey, we found out
Yeah, I like him.
where the guys,
Yeah.
right, and he's like, well, why are you telling me? Go tell the or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
right, like he couldn't be nice about it. He can't just be like, like, okay, that's great, thank you for letting me know, just go ahead and tell the other people. It's like I mean, I don't know with his crime with his boss, because a lot of times he's like a boss on the margins as like a crime boss or something, so there's probably not a situation where like his employees can give feedback, like like, yeah, I'd like some feedback on how you think my work is done. Well, I think you could deliver things a little bit better. I don't think you
I
have to be
agree with
such a
that.
jerk all the time. But he's leading into this jerk boss thing really well, and
It's going very well. And I
yeah,
hear he's in another movie, maybe it's on Tubi or something, called Death in Texas. It's like a stupid Western or something. And I hear people really making fun of him on this one. It's like, wow, I guess he just really checked out
really.
in this one.
Oh,
So,
let's see. So I see it. Let me take it. This looks
I
like it's
hear he
got
checked
Stephen
out.
Lang in it
Yeah,
too, huh?
Steve Lang. Steve.
Steve.
Steve Lang. Yeah. And
Oh,
Bruce D. Dern and
yeah.
Bob Miano. Oh, Bob Miano. I want to get to him in a minute, but
Yeah,
so.
I mean, because the interesting thing about Bob Miano here, yeah,
Bob.
so but
Well, we want to talk
this
about Death in Texas for a second before I go to Bob.
yeah, this is interesting. Like this could be a good one here. It's like it's again, like you said, is it Bruce Dern? Interesting to see if Bruce Dern and Stephen Lang have any scenes together. The only thing that makes me nervous about Stephen Lang is that I'm looking at the cast list,
Mhm.
and Bruce Dern is right at the top. He's got the the top left one there. But if you have to page down to find Stephen Lang on the list, and
Yeah, I mean, is it on Tubi? I'm not sure if you're on any
I'm on
like
Instagram,
work.
so it says Amazon Prime, but let me see. But it has more
Okay.
watch options. So let's see what more.
Okay.
So more watch options tells us that it is. Oops. I've got stuff in the way here. Let's
It happens
find
all
the
the time. I
scroll
haven't done
bar.
it live.
Yeah, the Roku channel has it as well. So
Okay, that's
nothing on
fair. I have
Tubi yet.
that.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
yeah, Tubi. I can do Roku channel. I don't know, do you have Roku channel or?
Yes, yes. I've got that on my phone, and then like our Roku is not working. We need to get a new
Oh, I'm
Roku,
sorry to
but
hear that.
yeah. But
So we can't watch it. Then maybe it's put a hold. So.
well, you could do it. You could do Prime as well. It's on
Oh, Prime.
Prime.
You have
So
Amazon Prime? Okay,
yeah,
I
do
have
have
Amazon
Prime.
Prime.
So
So
yeah.
maybe that could be next. I know we were talking about doing Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Defective Night, Independence, or
yeah, it's
Revolution.
interesting because we've had a break from these. One of the interesting things I've
Yeah,
noticed
let's
here.
talk about this for a second.
Now, of course,
Yeah.
when we get into Phoenix, it's going to be a different story when we get into that one.
Yes, for sure.
But between like Overrun and the Weapon and the Get Back, of course, that was a really decent one. But
Mhm.
these movies are not quite the slog that the Willis films
That's
are.
true. So maybe that's where I'm on break from Mr. Bruce
Right.
because
Yeah.
I want to get a break from the slog. So
Right.
it's like,
I mean,
which is fine.
yeah, it's like a sense like, oh, we probably got to get back into those detective nights at some point because
Yeah, I know.
is it really? My hunch is, I know I haven't seen the other two detective nights yet, but my hunch is that even though it's been a while since we've seen the first one, that there's probably going to be a good amount of like footage from the first one padding out the second one. That's just a hunch
Yes,
that I have.
there's a really good chance that, or last time on Detective Night, which would
Right,
be great if they did
exactly.
that.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah. So, I mean, and you mentioned you wanted to chat about Robert Miano, Bob
Yes,
Miano's part in this.
I find he
Yeah,
did a really good job. I think it's one of his better roles.
yeah,
Because you see him all the time in his PMs. He's always like maybe like a corrupt cop or a kind of a jerk. You know, now he plays Ray and he's dancing around. He's like he has some energy to him.
right. Yeah,
I really
and
enjoyed that.
and the interesting thing, right, is that his character is Ray Barron, where he it seemed like he was really leaning into this whole like New York mobster kind of thing. And so it is interesting that his character name was Ray Barron, and it wasn't something like like an Italian last name. But yeah, I thought he brings a really great like villainous quality to this that
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, we're used to seeing him in these small parts, like like you said, like a PM flick or a, something like I think he was in one of the ones we did recently, where he's like, he was in the one
What
with
was it?
the Echeverry, Hector Echeverry one,
Oh yeah, what was it
right?
called? Oh, Fist of
Cage,
Glory, Cage of Glory. Yeah,
Cage
that
of
was.
Glory, right? And he had a very small part in that.
He did nothing, and he did less than James Russo, who did
Right,
really
exactly,
nothing.
right, exactly. So
I never saw some guy do nothing that poorly. It's like, wow, you're doing nothing.
right, exactly. So, and the other thing too is he's actually, I think he's older than Bruce Dern. He's he's
Bamiano's older than Bruce Dern.
oh
That
no, he's not.
surprises
No.
me.
Oh wait, no. Bruce Dern's 6 years older than him. Bruce Dern was born
Oh
in
no, what?
36. Miano was born in 42. Somebody's other thinking 46 for Bruce Dern. That's definitely not the case. He was
Bruce
born in
Dern's getting up
36.
there, but I think
Yeah.
I just I just like that this is number 5 on the Bruce Dern cast that we're doing now. It just
I know. I know. Well, yeah, it's 5 for Dern. I think it might be close to that for Messner as well. I think we were getting a lot of
yeah, because he
Messner's.
goes back and forth with Bruce Dern. I mean, like, and CT only has 2, but
Right, CT, right, yeah. Yeah. Well, it'd be
well,
interesting.
CT just started,
Right, exactly. Right. We're gonna give him some time to kind of
Yeah.
build up a little bit. But yeah, I mean the Robert Miano part, I think the interesting thing, like you're going back to the Jalal Marhai
Yeah, I'll talk about the
comparison.
Omid. Yeah.
One of the things about this movie I think that is good, and I think that one of the things about this one I think that's a little bit better than The Weapon is that this
Mhm.
movie, despite Omid Zader being the hero, he does the film leans on the supporting cast a lot more. And I think that helps, right? That we got Miano in really great scenes. We got William Catt as an old,
Nice to
aging
see him.
detective. Yeah, Messner, Nicholas Turturro has a small scene, and he's really good. So those kinds of things I think help in the fact that
Yeah,
Omid
moves
Zader
it
can just do his
along.
yeah.
Yeah.
Omid Zader can just do his martial arts and beat people up and and occasionally he has some good lines. Occasionally he's kind of funny and stuff like that. But he doesn't need to carry it, which I think when we get into Phoenix, that's a whole different story. We'll
Yes.
be talking about. But
I know we
letting
keep
these people
laughing about this movie because it's Phoenix is special. We'll
yeah,
say.
Phoenix is going to be an issue. Yeah, so I think that's an area of this that I think for people making these kind of movies, if you've got, I don't know how many days of Robert Miano, but if you can make the most out of those few days that you have of Robert Miano, he can really, elevate your film. And the same thing with Bruce Dern, right? That like if you can make
Yeah,
the
you can
most
get
out of
Bruce
those few
Dern.
days,
Yeah,
yeah,
because it doesn't look like he's trying. Bruce Dern is just. I think he is. I
yeah.
hope. I mean, like, because he's old, complainy guy.
Right,
It's just
right, exactly. It's almost like he
so,
doesn't have to try when he's when you're at the
no, he's
level of
Bruce
Bruce
Dern.
Dern. If the part's small. We were talking about hunting games where he's essentially doing a
So
sit down Zoom roll
he
and
beat
it
it. He
works.
beat Bruce Willis to the punch on that. I mean,
Right,
like, I was really thought he
exactly.
was gonna do. Or I guess the closest you're gonna get is William Baldwin in that stupid movie with Tom Arnold. Oh, Maximum Impact, I think it's called, or Maximum
Yes. Oh yes.
Risk
Yeah.
Force.
Right. Right.
And it's like it's just William Baldwin or just looking into a camera, like, huh,
Right. Right. Yeah.
what?
Right.
And it's like just talking to Nevsky on a computer, but he's probably not. It's
Yeah.
like And that
Yeah.
was the close. That was not like number. That was like the precedent. And now we have Bruce Dern in Hunting Games, like doing your job.
Right, exactly.
Your impression's
Because
better. Your impression's better. I just
doing your do your job. Like
yeah.
why don't you go get the money now? You know,
Yeah.
and the thing is, the one thing about Bruce Dern, I will say that it is interesting between this movie, The Weapon, and Hunting Games is that he's always right. His character is always right.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
never wrong.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, he's wrong here because he's misled to believe that Zader
Yeah.
is the one who killed his son, and that's not the case. But even in that situation, when he finds out that it isn't Zader that killed his son, that it's Robert Miano had it all set up, he's very like gracious about like admitting that he was wrong about that and fixing it. So that's the other piece too. This Bruce Dern is like it's the Bruce Dern element, along with like the Miano element and the Messner and Turturro. It's like they just sort of round out these pockets of the film to make it more entertaining.
I can't agree more with that. Like it moves the movie along, and you care more, even though it was a little too over long. It was just like, but besides that, I actually thought it was a solid movie, perfect for Tubi.
Yeah.
Wait, what's it on Tubi, right? I saw it.
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah,
I saw
I
it.
did too,
I
yes.
saw it so long ago. I was like, wait, was that on Tubi?
Yeah,
No, I
I know,
remember
'cause-
ad break starts in 5, 4, 3.
exactly. Yeah. See, I just watched it, and so I think I was getting ads.
Mine's not because I watched it. So I thought we were gonna do this a lot faster.
Right.
On schedule,
Yeah.
and then we got goofed around with scheduling. So
We kind of ended up pushing it back here and there. Yeah. So we kind of we lost this one a bit. I mean, I think the thing with these movies is because we've done quite a few at this point. And I'm trying to put together. I think I put together a letterbox list for us. I just
you
gotta
did.
just share it. Yeah,
I think you mentioned that. Yeah. That's
yeah,
cool. That's
just
cool
the
you did
ones that we've been. Yeah, just the ones we've been doing in this series. So not any of the other sort of outside of those podcast ones. But yeah, I think when we it seems there are very few that are in the hour 45 range that don't feel really long, and I think
Yeah.
that is something that people making. And I know that there's a whole bunch of things that go into making a movie, and it's like the whole like 1 minute per one page per minute screenplay kind of thing doesn't always work out, and sometimes the movies end up being longer. But it really is something where I think for people making these movies, if you can go into it thinking about trying to get this thing in 88 minutes or 86 minutes or something like that, it really helps because one, I think it takes a movie like this one that's pretty good and makes it even better. But also, if your movie's not good, we can manage it a lot better if we can be like, oh, okay, I'm 26 minutes in, I've only got an hour left. You know what I mean? Like
That's fine. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's fine. This one I checked. Like, I still have an hour left in a way.
Right.
It's like 45 minutes in.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, another hour? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, because one of the things with the movie we're going to be talking about coming up, Phoenix, that one has some credit padding, which credit padding is another great thing.
Yes.
Where if your movie is listed as 86 minutes, but there's 6 minutes of credits, now it's like, oh wow, I'm at the 80-minute mark and we're wrapping this up, and I've got the credits scrolling. Like, this is great, and I do watch the credits because I always want to see if there's a name in there that I missed, or or even like a wacky credit or something like that. And I'm always curious about the songs, like who's doing these songs that we hear in these
There's a silly
movies.
song in Phoenix. That's what I'll try to sing it. I'm not sure I got the band name. Maybe you did in the credits, but
I might have missed it. Yeah, so
we'll see. I can see my notes.
Yeah.
But I guess you know what? I would probably recommend Overrun as kind of like a morning movie, like a morning B movie to watch if you're like taking a day off or something. It's just like, all right, it's got Dern, it's got Turturro. All right, I could take a watch on this. It's like,
Yeah, no, I agree there, and I think again, some of these names. I mean, I think Messner. It's interesting to see Messner's career change because we've been seeing Messner as someone who's like, kind of what we're seeing now with Omid Zader, right? Like that, Messner was supposed to be Omid Zader like 10 years ago. He was supposed to be the guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, what was that one? The Perfect Weapon with Steven Seagal.
With Seagal, and then he had there's a prison movie, right, that he was in. Man, I'm horrible drawing a blank here on this, and trying to like pull the name from Ring of Death.
Johnny Messner.
Ring of Death, yeah. Ring of Death.
Oh, Ring of Death. Yes, that's the punch fighter. Yeah.
Right,
So
exactly, where Messner's in prison. And so there was a sense that I think with Ring of Death and that kind of stuff that he was going to be one of these, kind of next up guys. And you feel like he had the quality and the charisma, but the problem was is that he's got a lot of charisma as an actor. Like we saw it here, right? We saw the charisma he had here in this,
yes.
He's like kind of giving his partner a hard time because his partner's kind of just a mess and all over the place eating donuts and losing his gun and stuff like that. And
yeah,
so
that was good.
Right, he's making fun of his partner and all that stuff, and I think there's a sense that like he does these movies like The Perfect Weapon, where his character has no charisma at all, right? It's just like some kind of mindless killer, and
and it doesn't work because he has charisma. Like, of course, I always go back to Running Scared, which is probably his best work,
right,
as an actor, because he's so freaking evil in it, and I can't say what words he says in it, so just watch the movie as they said before, and it's like, oh, I thought this guy's good. I mean, like he was, he was going up against Paul Walker, and he's like, this guy's good. He stood out. He actually almost stole the movie.
Yes.
He was this close. I think he almost did. It was, or at least he basically did.
Right.
Like, who is this Johnny Messner guy? I never heard of him before when I watched it back in 2010. Like, who's this guy? I like him. And I gave him a free pass for now almost 20 years. It's just like,
well, because that's around the same time as Running Scared is 06, and then Ring of Death is 08. So it's like right in that window of like, we were all kind of starting our sights around that time, that late 2000s window. Yeah, so it's kind of like, there's a sense, I think, at that time, too, that there was going to be openings for a Messner, for, Scott Adkins, which, Scott Adkins did a great job of carving out that space for himself.
Has broke through, so Scott Adkins is good. He still does some of these silly movies, but it's like...
But most of these guys that we thought were going to break through, suddenly it was like, well, you know what? Seagal's not retiring, right? He's going to do movies into his 70s. Dahl's going to keep doing movies. That all of these names that we thought were going to take a break, they never took a break, and so guys like Messner didn't get those chances to be the star.
It's an amazing point. I mean,
so it's good to see that he's kind of carved something out for himself here with these movies. Because I mean, what I'm trying to think, we did. So he was in Detective Night Rogue, Day to Die, American Siege, now Overrun here with us. I think.
Yeah. So what is that? 4?
That's 4 for him. So he's catching up to Dern.
Dern's number 1 right now. I'm number 1.
I know. I wonder. I'm trying to think. Like, I haven't counted how many Willises we've done, but he's got to be catching up to Willis even. With the number.
Well, Willis, we did what? Wrong Place. Wrong Place, Detective Night, that's 2. And I know we did, I can't remember, American Siege and Day to Die, that's 4.
Right.
So I think Willis might be winning right now, but...
Yeah, Willis is winning, but not by as much as you think.
Not by much.
Right, because we got the one Rogue film, we got Paradise City, that's 2, Wire Room is 3... Exactly. Wrong Place 4, White Elephant 5.
5. Corrective Measures.
Corrective Measures 6.
Bruce Willis is winning right now.
Yeah, he's winning by a good amount. Day to Die is 7. Yeah, American Siege 8. And then I think there was that other one, the 9th one. I can't remember the name of it. Survive the Game.
Survive the Night. Right. Survive the Game Night.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
That could be something.
Right. Yeah.
That could be the sequel to Game Night, which is a movie I've never seen. Jason Bateman's.
Oh yes.
Is it good? Is it funny, or is it try too hard?
I've never seen it either. No, it was because it was supposed to be like a dark comedy, right? I think is what it was.
Right, and it's like that other movie. It's called The House. Kind of has Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. It's like almost. It's not serious, but they make a casino in their own house or something.
Yes. Yeah.
I never saw it, but I bet it's one of those comedies and I don't even see anymore really, where people yell a lot, say stuff quickly with references. That's that's the comedy that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
Probably made up by kind of Seth Rogen and stuff like that. But
Judd Apatow, right?
Judd Apatow, yeah. So Judd Apatow.
The Rogen Apatow effect is what we call it.
And that permeated for a long time, over maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Then I think now we're done because This Is the End was the movie I watched. That should be the end of that kind of era of comedy.
Exactly.
But there was still, Game Night and The House and a couple other ones. Yeah. Or what's the other Seth Rogen thing? I didn't see it. What's it called? I can't remember the title. He's like a goofball journalist. Oh, Long Shot.
Right. Is that he hooks up with Taya Leone, I think?
Oh no, Charlize Theron, which is even.
Oh, Charlize Theron. That's right. There's another one with. That's right. Charlize Theron is like a Secretary of State or something like that. No, I'm thinking. I don't think it was Taya Leone. I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right.
Charlize Theron is stuck on Madam Secretary still. It's like is she the president now, or I never watched it. Let's not forget about Commander in Chief. Wasn't that the first female president show? Gina Davis.
Oh right, yes, that's right.
I remember that was coming out like, this is the show of the season, Commander in Chief.
Right.
and then it tanked and it got canceled. But
Yeah.
because West Wing, I think was either still on or just kind of running on fumes, so we
Yeah.
need something very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the
Yeah.
thing, right? Is that you get these periods where certain things were working, and suddenly it was just like, let's
Yes.
flood the market with more of these things that are like because like we were talking, we've talked about this with Tom Sizemore, that robbery homicide, where it's like procedurals were doing really well, and it was like and everybody talked about the robbery homicide unit in L.A. Especially came up with the O.J. thing because Furman was part of robbery
Exactly.
homicide. People knew about it, and it was like this idea that like, oh, Tom Sizemore robbery homicide
The
show, like
division.
this has
Great
got to,
idea,
yeah,
by the
this should
way.
be perfect, and it flopped. Like it didn't. I don't even know if it was a bad show. I think it
It
just did.
wasn't a bad show. It's just
Right.
that I think you can still maybe watch it on YouTube. I dropped everything to watch it because I always wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Kind of like I dropped everything to watch TNT, that Mr. T show.
Right.
But
Yes. Yes.
well, that's when I had a little bit more time. Like now I'm kind of busy, but
I know.
when I had a little more time, it's like, all right, I'll watch all episodes of Robbery Homicide Division. But then you
Yeah.
had the Handler, and then you had remember the Handler? Had Joey Pants, they call him.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
we think about flooding the market. So West Wing was hot. You had Commander in Chief.
Yeah.
ER was hot, and House was hot.
Yeah.
So you had like medical investigation. Remember that one?
Yes.
And
Oh
it has
yeah.
our buddy from the next movie, which is Neal McDonough.
Right. Right.
So we can get to that. That'd be a good segue. I know we're gonna go. We'll be right back. But
Yeah, well, yeah. Why don't we do? We'll take a break.
Yeah.
So I think our final
Oh,
thought on
yeah. Final
Overrun. I
thoughts
think
on this. Yeah.
I think it's just a little long, but
Yep.
and has some missteps, but overall it kind of is. It's not horror. It's a fun one that I think especially with the performances and things like that you get in it.
I agree. That's perfect. I agree with that perfectly. So yeah, I would watch it when you're out of other B movies to watch. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not negative.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's a good one. It's like okay, this is a decent movie overall.
Yeah.
And I would check it out when you're running out of stuff on Tubi.
Yeah, I think that's where the length plays into it, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to fit an 80-minute one in. Unfortunately, this movie Phoenix that we're going to be talking about is one that you could fit in more easily than Overrun. So yeah.
I know it's like we're creeping on Phoenix how ridiculous the movie is each minute by minute. Like, okay, we're getting the Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
but
we'll
I
take
don't know Overrun first. I gotta get the Phoenix. But
I know, yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, yeah, we'll take a break here, and then I will come back and we'll talk about Phoenix.
We'll be right back.
It's the early 90s in LA. The war on drugs is raging, and Detective John Bainbridge is the LAPD's secret weapon against crime. Former Special Forces in Nam, he's a cop on the edge. When he and his partner Geary uncover a potential human trafficking ring, it doesn't take long before John Bainbridge realizes this thing goes all the way to the top, which doesn't scare him. That just means they'll fall that much harder when he takes them down. Part send-up and part love letter to early 90s action films, Bainbridge will take you back to the golden days of Canon, PM Entertainment, and AIP. You can get it in paperback or on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited from Amazon. Follow the link in the podcast description. All right, we are back, and one of the things we mentioned before we get into Phoenix here is Brett came to Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
you met Brett in person.
Yeah, it was amazing. We went to this this VHS pop-up sale thing that was happening at this place called Philomoka. So it's like a theater that's like kind of horror themed stuff. So they'll do either like performances or they'll have like screenings of movies, that kind of thing. And so they had like a sale of all this VHS stuff. And so there's this guy who had like all of his stuff up on the stage. And so Brett had called you on FaceTime to try to show the VHSs there to see if there's anything that you were interested in.
And there was some good stuff. He brought it all to me the other day. And I was thinking about Brett. He looks just like his profile picture. You see that?
Right.
No, but I'm happy he had a nice time. He got pizza, and there was that one that he got called Killing Ground Floor. Had Evie Michael Hall.
Right.
The tape was a little wonky. I have my tape guy fixing it now, but
okay.
There's a piece rattling. I can't play that because it'll break the VCR. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's
you have any pieces inside the tape. So.
Yeah.
I don't know how that even happens, but yeah, I'll watch that soon. It's one of these Canadian Anthony Michael Hall thrillers.
Right.
I love that. What else? I know this is already ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's good. You had a nice time. And what was the pizza place called in Philly?
Wood Pizza, I think it was. Let me take a because so I had never heard of it before. So one of the interesting things is Philadelphia is not known necessarily for pizza. There is a really good pizza place that I've never been to called Angelo's. I'm gonna try their cheesesteak at some point because they also are known for like the best cheesesteak, but it's like a long wait to get there.
Oh, okay.
But let me see. I think it was called Wood Pizza because it's on Wood Street Pizza because it's on Wood Street. And
Makes sense.
yeah, and it was like kind of it was only like a 3 or 4 blocks north of south actually, 3 or 4 blocks south of where the VHS pop-up was. So so that worked out well. It's kind of a nice like kind of you order at the counter and then you can kind of sit. They bring the pizzas over to you and you sit. And so yeah, we got just like a half plain cheese and half garlic. And so like the garlic was like kind of like this like kind of like fried pizza. I didn't try the garlic.
Okay.
Brett could probably tell you how that was. And then there was also a meatball one that was good. And so yeah, it's a nice deal there. I mean, again, like I said, for I think like because they were talking about how New Haven is really the spot for pizza, and I think
for sure, yeah, Pepe's.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to Connecticut. Well, you were in the Connecticut area.
I've been to Connecticut, but yeah, I haven't been to New Haven. So I've got it now. I'm a huge pizza fan, so I feel like I've got to go up there and try the pizza.
And I know you bought a tape too, which was Revenge of the Red Baron.
Revenge of the Red Baron. So Brett found it in the pile there. It was only $10, and he was like, "All right, Matt, you got to get this." And I was like, "Okay, this will be my VHS version."
I cracked up because he's like, "Oh, what'd you get?" I thought it was gonna be like a pile. It's like one tape. So that cracked me up.
Yeah, it's interesting what they had there for stuff. Because I know, Brett was able to find some stuff for you there, but like in terms of like action stuff, like they had Recoil, they had
That's great if someone didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly. Running Red was there. Like they had nothing for AIP except for Deadly Prey, which they were charging like $150
That's outrageous. Yeah, he was telling me that. It was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in that. I mean, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, $350.
Outrageous. I would buy a DVD anyway because it has all the cool clown features.
Right. Well, because that's the interesting thing is that like, some people want it just to have the VHS, whereas other people their collection can go either way, right? It's like
Exactly.
I just want the movie.
Like, I go either way on that because it's like, well, I want to see something a little bit better. If the uncut version, let's say, of something, it's only on tape, I'll get the tape.
Yeah.
It's like which I just did, which I hopefully the guy ships it soon. Yeah. Which is on what's that new format, UHD or whatever, or I call it UMD.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
UMD2 UHD. Right, but that sound like that's a tongue twister. Right. But on UHD, there's the uncut version of Casino Royale, the Daniel Craig one.
Oh, right.
And I remember it's like in Japan they had the uncut version on regular DVD format back in 06 or 07. Well, I found it on eBay for $5. Wow. And not from Japan.
Wow.
So I couldn't believe, like, what? So I immediately bought it. It was only $5.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I bought that immediately. I couldn't believe it because we have some violence cuts in that movie. So the UK has and we don't. I want the uncut version. So it's region 3, by the way. Yeah. So I don't know if you have an all region player.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I don't. So
you don't. Okay.
So what's interesting is that Simon from Explosive Action has the all region. He's got like kind of all the different kinds of players. And I think when he finds stuff like on Japanese, like he'll kind of make a rip of it and make it available for people.
Who was that guy who used to do that? Like, who was that guy on the YouTube? It was like Atomic Robot
JCB or JCT or JC,
Yeah, or JCT, right?
JCT, right? Because he's not around. His account got clipped, I believe.
I
think so. Because I think I looked him up and I couldn't find any of his stuff on there anymore. Because he was the one who had Secret of King Mahi's Island.
Yeah, that's how I got to watch it. Thank goodness.
Right, exactly.
Take a look again. Maybe it's back, or maybe like
another version, right?
Extra account.
Yeah, because you wonder like who is it that really who's putting in a Let me just see if I just type in JCT what I get for a search on but I don't think so. I think he's he got clipped and but who's putting in copyright? I guess you know what it is. You know what I think it is. Why people would put these clips, which I don't think this is a smart move if these are the ones who are doing it. But I wonder if like companies. I don't want to call Severin out, but I know Severin is one who's been like releasing some of these like Strike Commando and stuff like that. And I wonder if
on the precipice of these other goofy ones.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if companies that are releasing these movies are like, well, we don't want them for free on YouTube because it'll hurt our sales. Whereas I think it's the other way around. I think if you're watching like a Strike Commando on YouTube and you've got all these Japanese subtitles in there and the quality is iffy and it's like
That's
when
part
you
of the. I like that. I
right.
like. Well, maybe it look a little cleaned up, but I mean, like, it's fine if it's dingy.
Right, but also too, if you really like the movie and you find out that Severin or Vinegar Syndrome or one of those places are putting out a Blu-ray version that's got everything,
Yeah,
you're like
that'd be
more
great.
likely to buy it because it's almost like the YouTube version sells it for you in a way.
That's a great point. Which
Yeah.
I know people have been waiting, so we have to jump into Phoenix.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. But yeah. So just a quick, just a kind of quick aside there, talking about meeting
Yeah.
Brett and also doing some VHS shopping that we were doing and
Yes.
sort of that kind of thing. But this is a movie, Phoenix. I don't know if it's available on any kind of physical media. I think it
Just
might just
regular
be
old Tubi.
I think it's just Tubi
The
streaming.
Tubi original. So.
Yes. So this one is written and directed by Daniel Zirilli, which I think we were talking about his films when we were talking about was it
Lockdown?
Lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tony
Lockdown
Sheena.
with Tony Sheena, exactly. And what was the other? Circle of Pain. Those were the two.
Love Circle of Pain. I talk about
Yeah.
Circle of Pain all the time. I don't know why I love that movie so much, but it's like,
Yeah.
because I could do the Tony Sheena impression. It's like, I'll see you on Saturday.
Right, exactly.
And Kimbo slices, say something for me, punk.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
You might have said chump, but yeah, either one works.
Yeah, and so it's interesting as we talk about there's really I follow him on Instagram. I think you believe he's in LA right now. So I don't know if he's filming something new in LA, but he's worked with like the Shogun Films guys when he directed Renegades and produced Nemesis, and so he's he does a lot of stuff, and I think it's like he works on the margins. He works with low budgets and kind of tries to put stuff out there. And so I mean, Acceleration with Dolph is another one he did. Asian Connection with Seagal. So he's worked with all the kind of names here. So when we get into this one, we'll kind of keep that piece in mind as we're talking about what we've got going on here with Phoenix, because go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead, please.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, there could have been some mitigating circumstances that led to this movie, sort of having the issues that it has, but yeah.
Well, I will say about Acceleration, which I found at Goodwill. I still haven't watched it yet, but this is just a flimsy excuse to do the Dolph impression. But it's like, because I don't think I've done it yet.
No, that's right. Yeah,
it's like, I just bought Acceleration. Dolph's not good. Also, Natalie Byrne. So it's like, just very flimsy.
Yeah,
and that's the most flimsiest yet since doing a Trump impression, but which I already did, right?
Yes, we had to get Sherman Helmsley, right? The fact that he was by not staying alive long enough to vote for Trump, he was disloyal as a friend.
Let's see when Sherman really died, because it's like I can't remember going back to Sherman.
I think it might have been 2014, 2016, maybe. It might have been in that realm.
Let me see. So he died in 2012. So there's no way he voted for Trump.
Oh yeah, so right. So yes, you could really see how Trump would really be upset with him about that. Yeah, Trump
still didn't vote for me. Okay, I know the Jeffersons.
Yeah, go ahead. He knew I was running for president in 2016. He could have voted for me. Yeah, he's a great guy, but listen, I know he's he didn't really back me up like he should have by dying in 2012.
Loved him, Mr. Nanny. He was a great guy. Isabel Sanford still didn't vote for me. She didn't vote for me. Right. Because she died in 2004. That's way before I was supposed to run for president.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
If all these people that were close to me, if all of my friends had stayed alive, I would have really beaten Biden in 2020. Everybody died before they could vote for me. That's why I lost.
It's only TV stars in the 70s.
Right,
so it's just like, well, I think Jackie Harry's still around, but she's still hanging with us. But it's Jackie Harry left T27. That's where I lived. That's where I kicked out people. Right. If they lived in New York, and I'm not supposed to say that.
Right.
My dad, Fed Trump, did that.
Yeah. Okay. If 227 had been about my dad as a landlord, none of the people that were in 227 would have been living in those apartments.
Yeah, I can totally see that, dude. Like, that's like, well, the Wayans brothers, which is Ronald Crump.
Right.
That character, which is a good episode.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, okay, but we always talk about Trump. So, all right, we're gonna go to Phoenix right now. So here we go.
All right, well, let's. Yeah, so we'll do a quick synopsis because there isn't a lot going on in this movie. It's a very straight ahead kind of actioner. But we've got professional wrestler. Whoops, sorry, I'm on my Daniel's Zirilli page, not on my Phoenix page here. Natalie Ava Marie, so professional wrestler. She is a She's a soldier, supposed to be stationed in Afghanistan. Doesn't really look like Afghanistan. It looks like
No, it doesn't.
looks like a Miami or Las Vegas. I guess the thing is the Las Vegas,
They
Afghanistan.
have
But
an
anyway,
army barracks there.
right, exactly, right. So, and she is known for like kind of training other soldiers in how to fight, but she's also a accomplished fighter herself. Her dad, Randy Couture, is like some kind of security guy who gets killed by a Russian mobster. And so Neal McDonough, who is her general, which is a really interesting thing. You've got a general interacting with a sergeant
Yeah,
on a
his
large,
name.
yeah.
Exactly.
Right, he's the general, and he's not. There's not
Shackleton.
like majors and colonels and captains and all and lieutenants all in between them. It's just general and sergeant hanging out together and chatting about stuff. But
Yeah, exactly. His character is very interesting to me, which I'll get to. But
yeah,
we'll talk. We got about Natalie first.
right. So he sends her home to Miami where she investigates what happened with her dad, finds out about this Russian mobster killing him, and she goes on the warpath to take him down.
Yes.
Other people we have involved. We got Bai Ling, we've got Chuck Zito, we've got Philip Tan, Arnold Chan. We got an actor named Ray Giannone from Boston who is really great. He's one of the Russian mobsters' hitmen, which is or like hatchet men, and he's really great. He's like, what are we gonna do about this? I'm trying to think of something in a Boston accent that he could have said.
You're good.
I fired on him. They were firing on us from all sides. I could, what do you want me to do? And yeah. So, but yeah. So, of course, she kind of, goes about her business and gets her revenge and well live happily ever after.
Well, I see. Now we can jump into it, which is Randy Couture. He has a Sherlock Holmes hat on in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and he has his high pitched voice. I'm Randy Couture.
Right.
And then it's like, then he gets killed. But
Right.
then there's like this. It's a spoiler, but I guess that's part of the plot.
Yeah.
But and there's this song that sounds like Breaking Benjamin or Sponge.
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember that? It's like, I am gasoline and matches. So I made sure to write that down because it's like, what?
Yeah, no,
He's
I
the
was trying to
gasoline
think of
and
what
the matches?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the combination there. You had Sponge and
I'd Breaking Benjamin.
Breaking, yes, because I was trying like it has like that like it's not quite a 2000s modern rock, like it's got enough of the 90s buzz clip in it, right? It's like to make it a little bit different.
Maybe Skillet. I mean, it's like
right. Yeah.
Wait, what was the big Skillet song? I'm flipping over some pancakes. I'm just kidding. But just like,
I don't remember.
That's what a Skillet really does.
Yeah,
it's like,
Skillet. I'm trying because I remember I know the name. It's like Skillet. Yeah, I try to remember the song that they had.
I know the Static X, which is the push it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Skillet.
Yeah. Let's see. What does it say for their songs? Band history.
I probably have to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, discography. Let's see.
Yeah, I'd have to hear the song. So
they're big enough that they've got their own main discography page.
Do they have a Vivo page on YouTube?
And they must, right? They must. They've got to,
Vivo.
Yeah, you feel like they've got to have something on there. So, yeah, like it doesn't say like what they're. It's interesting. They have albums, but they don't have single. Oh, there's singles. Okay. Gasoline, does that sound right?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of it. But I am gasoline and matches.
Yeah, that could. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was funny. That was in the beginning. And then, of course, Russian. His name was what? Maxim? Was that his name?
Yes, I think that was the Russian's name. Was
Maxim Magazine. I want to call him Maxim Magazine.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah, Maxim Vasilyev. Actually, I didn't catch this part. There was Maxim Vasilyev because they mentioned the name Vasilyev in the previous movie in Overrun. So we get a little bit of a Russian mobster overlap between these two. Yeah.
I wrote that down. Like Russians are back.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I will say that in the opening scene, it looks like an orange toy car.
Yes. Yes.
Now I'm not sure if that was a jokey thing or like on the budget. It's just like
I do think we're a budget. I do kind of wonder if it was one of those deals because they don't really use the car in any kind of action sense. Right? They just drive it around. I do wonder if it was one of those things from like a budget standpoint where it's like he's really got access to the car and he's like, let's have him drive it around because it looks great, but we can't use it in any car chases or anything like that because we can't get like copies of it to smash up and stuff like that.
And I gotta love this line, which is, "This is for equal rights and equal lefts."
Right. That's right. When she's beating up the
equal rights and equal lefts. I gotta be really flat when I say stuff like this. Yes. The chip on my shoulder has kept me alive. It's like,
right. Well, because this is the problem, unfortunately.
Let's talk the problem. Let's talk the big problem about
this. So unfortunately, Natalie Ava Marie it's interesting because she's a wrestler, and usually wrestlers can come into acting already sort of doing really great. But the thing is that you need the part, like the part's got to be good. and you've got to have the supporting cast. And there were two movies that came to mind where the supporting cast supported a new actor. Obviously when we did Most Dangerous Game, right, where CT. Right. Brand new to acting, we've got Bruce Dern, we've got Judd Nelson, and obviously, Casper Van Dien. Yeah, Berenger even as well. So like
big help. Huge.
Yeah. And so then we were able to watch CT and enjoy him and not have to worry about him carrying scenes, right? So
exactly.
There's that one. And then I thought of Blood Fist 7 with Stephen Williams in that role.
The 7th one? I was going to mix it. Or is that the 5th one?
So, no, I think it's the 7th one where I think that one has Stephen Williams in it, where he, because, from he's doing like LA Heat at that time with PM Entertainment.
Oh, yeah. And also it goes like Giant 21 Jump. Steve.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And he's like propping up the film for, that's kind of, it feels like Don the Dragon Wilson's 90s stuff is sort of like the gold standard of like, athlete trying to act and still trying to get the hang of it.
Yeah. You need a Richard Roundtree in part 3 of Stephen Williams, like Gary Daniels almost.
Yes. A lot of names like that really prop him up. I mean, that's Roger Corman, right? Roger Corman knows what he's doing with that kind of thing. Like, let's get those names. And I always joke with part
James
7. James Tolkien, yes, exactly. I always joke with Stephen Williams in part 7 that they added a character named Marvosa into the script just so they could hear him saying Marvosa, and it just sounds so beautiful. But this movie doesn't do this enough. Where it's like, like Neal McDonough does not have, he has these scenes with her, but I don't know how to explain. Like the film that felt very rushed. I think it was like one of those things where he didn't have a lot of time. Yeah. And so it's like, we're doing one take and that's it. We're just getting in one take. And so even people like Neal McDonough and Chuck Zito and Couture, they didn't have a lot of time to make these scenes work. And so then it's like when her scenes don't work, they look even worse, I think.
Yeah, that's the problem. Neal McDonough does the best he can, but his character's hilarious to me, which is like, Theon, just do whatever you want. Just kill everyone. I don't really care. And it's like,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. This is a mission of mercy or mission of revenge. That's okay. It's like, I mean, I support this, but I mean, like,
Right. Yeah, I think they got Neal McDonough involved because there's like a trafficking element or something. I don't know what it is, but they got Neal McDonough involved in this, and he just like it. He doesn't mail it in necessarily.
No, but it's really close. I mean, it's like because it's Neal McDonough, and he has that kind of he's usually like evil. He almost has an evil face, but he's been nice lately. So it's just like, so it's like, okay, it's fine. But I mean, like,
for sure. I mean, the one thing he wasn't doing, right? That again, like Judd Nelson, Casper Van Dien, in particular, those two names in particular, but also I say Berenger as well. They were like propping CT up. They were supporting CT in the scenes that he was in Most Dangerous Game, so that we could be okay with him having trouble acting, because we knew he was doing it. Neal McDonough was not doing Ava. No. He wasn't doing Natalie, Ava Marie any favors. No,
and Randy Couture, and I guess there's one more name.
Bai Ling.
Let's talk about Bai Ling for a second. First off, she's like living at like a storage space or something.
Right.
It's like Eva. Wait, is that Bai Ling? Like, oh no, because she has like. Her name is Scavenger.
Right. Yes.
That's really ridiculous. She has red neon lips. Looks like tan mom. That's what's in my notes.
Yeah. Bai Ling is an interesting one as well, because it's like she, when you watch some things with her, like Rich Haas, I had him on the podcast when we were talking about short films, and she does like a Western short where she's like really fantastic, and it's like she. When she's in a movie like this, right, where it's just sort of like, hey, let's get Bai Ling in here and have her like just, like one of the things I think about Bai Ling now that sort of kind of bouncing around a lot, but she would have been great as the main baddie. Like instead of having it be a Russian guy, because this Russian guy wasn't really bringing a lot. This Oleg.
He wasn't. He was like, I'm Russian, I'm evil, but he was funny too. I mean, like I'm watching him act and her act. Like, this is what I just started laughing. It's like, because it's like a Z grade version of John Wick.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best way to put it. In a nice way. I'm not making fun of this movie. It's a nice way.
No.
It's like,
well, because what it is I think that's the thing, right? Is that I think it's like, okay, Daniel Zirilli, he wrote and directed this, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I've got this script that's very like John Wickish.
Quick.
Right. It's quick. It doesn't look like it had a lot of rewrites because it looked like there were lines that people were saying that either they were repeated or, so, and then, but also cause I was trying to figure out, I was like, for example, Chuck Zito has a scene with this character who's supposed to play her aunt, played by Jesse Camacho. And it's like they're getting ready to go save the day and ride in Chuck Zito's helicopter, and she's like, "I'm going with you," and he's like, "No, you got to stay here." And she's like, "I'm going with you." Okay, all right, come along. You're coming with me. And it was like the whole thing was just sort of like wooden and just sort of happened. And I think it was one of those deals where it was like, "Hey, we got the take. It's in the can. Let's move on to the next scene."
Next.
Yeah.
Like they want to shoot like 10 scenes a day to get this done as quickly as possible.
Right.
And
right.
I will say other things. Penn the lawyer.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes.
I was cracking up. I think it was the same character, I think, where he says, "I voted for Obama." was that him?
I think it was him. Yes, I think it was.
And then
I think
the cop said that was 10 years ago, honky.
Right. That's right.
That was amazing. I really cracked up with that. Was that improv? That was really funny.
That's a good question. I don't know, and I'm trying to see if the lawyer even got like a credit in this because
He was funny. I enjoyed him. It's like he could have played like Curtis Armstrong or something.
Yes. Yeah, he was an interesting character. I think I think there was stuff like that was that like kind of and it's like the scene like there's that scene where she comes to see the lawyer and she wants the lawyer to call like the Russian mob guy,
right, Maxim Magazine.
Yeah, and so she's like, "You got to call Maxim Magazine." He's like, "I don't know, I'm not talking to and then suddenly she's putting a knife to his throat, and he's like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, now that you put a knife to my throat, yeah." It's like, I mean, that was the other thing too. Is things got escalated quick. Things kind of just came out of nowhere.
I mean, I can't say she's that likable, but the thing is that she's so freaking flat on all deliveries. It's like, all right.
That's another point because she isn't. As like you think of like Natalie Byrne, you mentioned Natalie Byrne, right? And so you think of like her in so Acceleration again is another movie that Daniel Zirilli does that actually, female-led action film, and Natalie Byrne is a lead that you can get behind. In fact, one of the things I didn't like about that script is that when you watch the movie, I'll just give you the basic rundown of it.
I don't mind a spoiler. It's no big deal.
Well, yeah. So what it is like her character, her son is being held. And she has to carry out these jobs, these hits on other people over the course of a night. And it's almost like we didn't need the mother bear aspect to it. It could just have been her just going out and kicking ass and taking names or whatever. That would have been enough for us. But Natalie Byrne as a lead, right? She really, like you said, she's really likable. She's someone you can really get behind.
Or even Amy Johnston, really. But
yes. Yeah, right. Lady Bloodfight.
Lady Bloodfight or Lady. That's what I sing that because it's like Lady Red Light from what's the band name? I should know it immediately, but
yeah.
I'll get the song.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, right? Amy Johnston's great too. It's like there are these names. I mean, just think about like some, I mean, obviously Olga Kurylenko is like kind of another level of
Great White, by the way.
Yeah. So, Great White. Oh, the band Great White.
Yeah, Great White. They have a song called "Lady Red Light, Rock Me Tonight."
Is that what it play the piano? Does that really play the piano? Like
maybe I don't remember.
Like Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
I know this is controversial. I don't like that song.
Yeah.
I like Radio Red Light and I like Rock Me. If you look at the video because it's awesome. Like there's a mermaid with a harpoon that shoots.
I'll have to see that.
I know that's just kind of a spoiler, but it's actually really awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like, look it up when you have a chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this Natalie Marie. I mean, I would give her another movie though, because I don't see Phoenix 2 because it was so funny. But that's the good thing about this movie. I know we're kind of joking around about it, but it was highly enjoyable. I mean, it was 80 minutes. It was 80 minutes of just pure silliness.
Right. Well, that part of it was good, right? So this is back to that rule that we talked about, right? When it comes to making your movie, is that movie like Overrun had to have a lot of really fun elements to get to make the hour and 45 minutes worth it. Whereas this film, like you said, this movie has I think it had 6 minutes of credit padding as well.
It sure did.
Whatever the runtime is, it says, I can't remember. It actually doesn't show the runtime on IMDb. I think the runtime is 86 minutes, but I think it's really only 80 minutes long with the credit padding.
Yeah, and that was helpful because I was just laughing. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's the thing. I watched this one first, then Overrun.
Same here. Same. I did the same thing. Yeah.
I went, uh-oh, and this one's like, this looks like an uh-oh movie.
Right.
And it's just like, and it was, because it's chunky, but I got, okay, now I obviously understood what this is, but
yeah.
I wish there was more biling. The fight was funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fight. I would recommend this movie a lot because there's something about it that keeps you watching.
It's funny because it's Daniel Zirilli who, again, like you said, he's got some movies that are kind of more competently made, like Renegades, which Renegades they put more into than this one. I mean, this definitely feels like it was kind of slapped together. Like they were working on a limited budget, limited time, and they just kind of went with it. But it veers on what you and Brett term as a that movie, right? Like a Samurai Cop or
it's this close.
Miami Connection. Yeah,
it's so rushed, it's so ridiculous, but there's something so goofy about it. I actually have been recommending it to people.
Yeah,
because I might even be watching for the website.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna tell my friend Dave. Oh, you know Dave now. He likes these wrestlers. So I was telling him about it. Oh, this looks funny. It's like, yeah, it is. It's like she's got the pink hair, which is a really big positive.
Right.
Because it's so interesting to watch her hair.
Right. Yes.
Is this a wig or is this like no?
Right, and it's really long too. It's like really long. Right. It almost like because that's the other thing too is it's like really long, so it like almost kind of gets in the way of like her doing action-y stuff.
Yeah, everything.
Right. It's just sort of like this big hair that's just sort of draped all over the place, and it's like because most of the time, like Lorenzo Lamas, right? He had his hair wasn't anywhere near this long, but he had long hair in the '90s. But when he would do scenes, a lot of times he would have it like in a ponytail, or he'd have the bandana around it, or something like that. And like Renegade, right? Like in Renegade, his hair was not like kind of a distraction at all. It enhanced the character, or like Highlander, right, with Adrian Paul, where he had the ponytail.
Yeah, exactly. That was helpful. So it's like. This one's just flipping around everywhere, and then you just laugh, and then she talks about my chip in my shoulder. I'm gonna get you. And like anything she says is funny. The nightclub scene was very John Wick, Z version of John Wick. Maybe.
Yes.
It's like this. I've never seen such a Z version of John Wick. I mean, like, which is funny. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Whoa, Phoenix is better in my movie.
Right.
It's like.
well, because that's the thing. It's like I think. That's kind of the idea with this movie is that I think Zirilli, it would be interesting to hear what the idea is, but I do kind of think you're right that like almost like I'm going to put together a script that is a John Wick-esque, but I'm going to have a female lead instead of a male lead, and I'm going to bring in some of these military elements, bring in this like human trafficking element
Which
to
is all
it.
good. I like when human traffickers get murdered. It's
right,
good.
exactly. You want to see them get their comeuppance.
So please.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I think there were some things that maybe could have enhanced it. I think, like again, Bai Ling as the lead baddie.
That would be great. Yeah.
I think that would have been really great to see her in that. And I don't know if maybe they didn't get enough days to shoot with her to make her the lead baddie.
Such a quick movie to make. It looks like it was maybe made in like a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two.
I mean, they shot in 2 locations. I don't know that Neal McDonough was in. I think Neal McDonough was in Las Vegas, maybe, and that's when they did like the Afghanistan scenes, and then
yes, in quotes.
Right, and then they did the scenes in Miami. The fact that they even shot in 2 locations is crazy. But I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like they didn't move everybody except for a few of the I think. Natalie, Ava Marie maybe did both locations, and then Zirilli was in. But it seemed like one of those things where it was like, we've got our Miami people, we've got our Vegas people, and Vegas is supposed to be Afghanistan, and I mean, it's
the heart is in its right place. That's why I cannot ever really make fun of. Yeah, we're making fun of it, but not really.
No,
I'm pretty positive about this one because it's like it is funny. It's funny. It's almost cool, but it has that funny kind of junky sheen next to it. So.
Right. Well, no, you make a really great point about this because we were just talking about these Bruce Willis films, right? And there's a cynicism with the Emmett Furlow Oasis film where it's like it's a similar vibe of like let's just get it in the can, right? But there's an earnestness with this film where yes, Neal McDonough definitely seems like he's just I don't want to say mailing it in, but he's just sort of like
pretty close.
Pay me for my scenes and I'm going to do what I got to do and that's it.
But I'll do it, yeah. And then I feel like if they had him more, maybe this is a fake twist. But if he was the villain,
right, which he should have had because he's
that would have been
Neal
great.
McDonough, right?
Because he cheers her along the whole time, and then maybe he's the real ringleader.
Right,
It's
right.
like,
He was trying to
so
take
you
this
got
this
too
Russian guy
far,
out.
huh?
Right,
You know, something
right,
like that, like
exactly. Yeah, but I mean,
Fiona.
yeah,
But
the Fiona or Natalie Ava Marie, she's definitely trying, right? Like
yes,
she wants this role to be good. She wants to be she's giving this like her all. And I think that's where this kind of thing is where we talk about like for a new actor that like you've got to have a good supporting situation around them. And that's where I think for Zarilli doing this on the cheap, I think he really liked the idea of having a female-led John Wick movie. Right. The
great,
idea, it's
fine.
not like the idea doesn't it is a bad idea.
No,
It's just there's so many things that were probably hampering this production that it didn't come off the way they wanted
yeah,
to.
it's heavily hampered.
Yes, exactly.
It's hampering more than my laundry.
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
it's like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Most Dangerous Game is probably the best comp where it's like you've got a new actor in CT who is again his acting level is probably the same as Natalie. I mean, he has a little bit more natural charisma. Actually, I should say he has a little bit more
yes,
natural charisma.
he did a good job in Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah.
Hunting Games. I
Yeah.
think we saw who he really was.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
CT being CT.
Right, exactly. And so, you really you can't afford to be like I think the way Most Dangerous Game was set up where it was in a very simple location. They kind of all shot in that location. They had all the stars there, but it was really one of those things where it was like, okay, we've got a really great baddie in Casper Van Dien. I think if they had Bai Ling as the baddie instead of this other guy, this Russian guy, I think Bai Ling could have really played the kind of baddie that
Yes, I
Casper
would
Van
love
Dien
to have seen
played.
that, and you get like this glimpse
Right.
of what have happened, and like, oh no. So
Yeah.
it probably just needed a couple rewrites in a nice
Yeah.
way, and just like, and maybe a couple extra takes.
Yes. Right.
but
Exactly.
but besides that, I would recommend this movie highly if you
Yeah.
enjoy this kind of movie. It's like this is like a good Tubi original funny movie because there's these Tubi movies I've been watching. I watched this urban one. It was called The Good Man because it's going away on
Right.
Tubi. Like,
Right.
what? It's going away. What is? Oh, it's one of these
Right.
where it's like Safe Word or Immortal City Records, these are movies I've seen on Tubi.
Yeah.
So where it's just nothing happens. There's like some climax. It's barely a climax that happens, and it ends.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's all junky, and every scene runs really long.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was a good man. This movie, to be original, is actually it moves really fast.
Yes.
And that's perfect. And I just watched The Vigilante. I don't know if you've seen that on your TV.
I haven't. So that one keeps getting recommended to me, especially after watching this one.
I will not recommend that one because I finished it yesterday.
Yeah.
Good idea. It's like almost the same idea as Phoenix. Going against traffickers.
Yeah.
It's done poorly. It's just directed poorly, and it's directed by stuntmen. Like, ooh, it's directed by stuntmen. But they're doing these things now. Doing this. You ever notice in these John Wick movies where like people, they're fighting, right? And then the camera flips around like really fast.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They've really leaned on that in this one. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's not do that too much because it's cool like once.
Right.
Don't do it every single time.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the one thing about one of the things I think about Zarilli when he shoots a movie like this is like it's competently shot. It's just that like it's kind of like what when you watch old Albert Pyun films, right, in the 90s, where it was like he had like a low budget and then there would be like something that would go wrong, which I'm sure if we saw like a director's commentary of this, like he would probably describe like all these things that went wrong as well that like they had to make up for. And so
there's that rumor about Ticker, right? Like he had a different Ticker commentary that was all very negative against the new image and stuff, and they scrapped it.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I'd like to hear that commentary. But
right. Oh, you mean Albert Pyun? Yes,
Pyun,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel like that's kind of the same thing that happens to Daniel Zirilli, is that like he makes these movies completely like independent, right? Like he's kind of working, And I mean, when he did Renegades with Shogun Films, they definitely were doing a lot more in terms of like they had a little bit more of a shooting schedule. They did have one of the things. I was talking to Tom Jolliffe, who was the screenwriter for that one. He said,
I still have to watch it. So what did he say?
Yeah, well, he was saying, and I think we saw some of that in this movie too, is that sometimes when they get locations, they can't shoot up the location, so they have to use like fake bullets, fake blood, and stuff like that to get away with using the location. And I think that's another thing we see here a little bit is that because some of these locations that he had weren't really places that he could like bust up too much.
I know.
or why
He's
they were
places
using
to bust up.
containers. You know, those like contain like Bailing is like her
Storage space.
base is in a storage space. I think they were using a lot of that kind of stuff because you can't go in. There wasn't a house that they could use and blow up. You know, like they didn't have that ability to.
That's a great point. I mean, like, but I will say that this was I will recommend this. I'll do a little button on it. That I would definitely check. This is like a hot Tubi movie too. I mean, I see it when I go on Tubi all day now.
Right.
I see it there. You know, I already took it off my list, but it's like, but I might have to put it back on because I might rewatch it.
See, I keep them on my list until I've reviewed them because I always plan to review them for the site. So that's why like they stay on the list until they're there on the site. So yeah,
that's
and I was looking to see because she had the star she has I didn't realize that that the star in this movie you know that I keep she has 3 names and so I always forget that it's Natalie Ava Marie. I'm always like,
I want to call her Eva Marie Saint.
Right, exactly. Me too. Right, that's probably why.
I'm dying to say it.
Yeah, that's probably why it's so hard. But she was in Hard Kill. She played a character named Sasha Zindel, which I didn't remember that. I think she was maybe part of what's his face? Jesse Brad, his team, I think, in Hard Kill. So this isn't her first, but most of her stuff has been WWE stuff. I think the one thing I would say for her in this role here is that I think this is like this isn't be like, oh, she should never act again kind of thing. I think if she has the opportunity to choose parts, maybe if she could get it, maybe even just see kind of how CT did Most Dangerous Game and get in a situation like that where like you've got
that'd be good.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesse Metcalf, not Jesse Bradford,
Metcalf,
by the way.
Right, Jesse Bradford's not. You're a good point. I make that mistake too. So.
Oh, me too. I mean, I feel like, wait a second, is that Jesse Metcalf or Jesse Bradford?
The Jessies, the Chads, like the Chris's. Obviously, the Chris's. That's a really tough one, right?
Oh, that reminds me because I watched The Contractor. I think I talked about this last. Podcasts ago, of Chris Pinecone.
Yes,
and it wasn't very good.
Right.
You have to wait the whole time for any sort of action, and you really, really, really don't care. Yes. So I can see why I went kind of straight to video or on video on demand because it's kind of a flop.
Yeah, so, I mean that's one thing you can say I think about Zarilli, at least with this movie and I think some of his others, is that he doesn't mess around with the action. Like he keeps a good action quotient and
it's a good clip.
Yeah, and the scenes,
get some punching in. Get some punching, some killing right away.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene where she and the Russian guy go and get crabs, and it's like a very awkward scene, right, where they're in cars together, and he's like maybe we should go eat. She's like, okay, I would like some stone crabs or something like that. It's like,
yes,
okay.
I remember that. And the blown up car is also really, that's in my notes.
Right. Yes.
It looks fantastic. Yeah.
Right. It's like one of those things where it's like the next thing you know that they're in this restaurant, and that scene could have gone on longer, but it doesn't. And they kind of get into the action, which, like you said, right? Like they couldn't really blow up the car, so they had to use the effects of blowing up the car.
Great, but then I understood what they're doing, so I'll give it a pass.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think I think. That the fact that this thing moves, like you said, I mean, the other thing too, like I looked it up on Tubi. It has a 90-minute runtime, but I really think it's like 84 minutes. I want to say there's like 6 minutes of credits. So
sure, it definitely ended earlier than that.
Yeah. So to your point, like this is one of those ones that I think is a fun watch, and I think I don't think that this movie should be like, oh well, Natalie Ava Marie should never do another movie again because she had trouble with the acting.
Movies,
right. I think she could be a good star, a good lead. I think Zarilli, he tries with this. He's got good intentions.
This movie's not really bad. It's just like it's just silly. It's
right.
Okay. If people like who are not like us watch, it's like, oh no, what's this? It's but we get it.
Right. Well, because I think it actually has a 5.5 rating or 5.2 rating on IMDb, which a lot of Zarilli stuff really is like in the 3s. But I think that's the thing is like somebody gave it a 9.8. Says Zarilli doesn't disappoint, which I mean.
9.8. I'm not sure about that, but I would give it maybe like, I don't know, a 7. That's really 6.5, 7, really.
Right. Yeah.
I think it has that goofy factor that pumps it up.
So. Yeah, I think the 6.5 is a good number. I think when it's saying for Zarilli fans, you'll really like this. I think there are other Zarilli films out there that we've talked about some of them, and that I think I think Acceleration, for the flaws that Acceleration has, I like that one better than this. Renegades, definitely better than this. This one, it had some limitations to it, but I think I think if he wants to do more movies with her and with Neal McDonough, and they want to, I don't want to say don't do them because this one had its flaws. I think, like you said, this is a fun movie to watch, and I think for people that like, low budget action films, this is definitely, like you said, it's a fun watch for the low budget action fan.
And I have some of his other movies, really, because I just got Voodoo Tales.
Oh,
from 2002. I haven't watched it yet. And because he also made Latin Kings.
Yes. I gotta know how these both are. Yeah.
And I don't have Latin Kings. I just have Voodoo Tales.
Yeah,
but but he did Lockdown, Circle of Pain. Oh, Crossbones. Not a great movie, by the way.
Yes.
But I want to watch his other ones. Oh, Black Spring Break 2, the sequel.
Yeah.
I want
so
to
it looks like that's like one of his
Spring
first
Break
movies.
1,
right.
Yeah, it's one of his first movies.
Yeah, I mean, because I think one of the things was at that time, right? Like channels like BET, they had room for stuff on during the day or during the night that they would play,
Yes.
with some of these movies. And yeah, I mean, I know there's a director that I've talked to, Jay Horton, who he had me review one of his movies. I think it's called Deceitful, but essentially the way the movie was that originally it was an adaptation of a telenovela that was going to be done in Spanish, and then they decided they're going to make it for the Latin American community, but in English, and then they said, no, we're going to make it an urban picture instead. So it went through like 3 rewrites, and then they gave it to him and his buddy to like rewrite as well. So you're watching this thing that has all these rewrites. I think it had one of the guys from Onyx in it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's like one of those things where like these movies go through so many different things that you're just like, what we get at the end can be very, very fascinating. And so yeah, this one, Black Spring Break 2, it looks like it's got a bunch of different bands in it and stuff like that. And
I mean, I'm interested in watching all of his movies. I still have to watch Invincible.
Oh yes,
Johnny
me
Strong.
too.
Maybe that's on Tubi, by the way. Maybe that could be the next movie you want to watch. You could do
because that
Detective
one's supposed to be really
2
good, right? With
Invincible, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that might be a good
That's
idea.
Perfect. They're both on the tubes.
Yeah, I think that might be a good, because we haven't done any Marco Zaror yet, have we?
No, I don't think so. So he needs to come onto the podcast here.
Yeah,
And
I think we.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I was going to say we've done a lot of names, and so yeah, I think getting some Marco Zaror on here eventually, it would be good to finally do.
That sounds perfect then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will recommend this movie just to put another button on it. 2 buttons.
No, I think for it, and I think the one thing to keep in mind, because it is a Tubi original, is that we don't know how long these Tubi originals are going to stay on here.
I'm really surprised to even say that, but I think this is so popular. I think this is going to be on Tubi for a while.
Yeah, I think this is a fun movie to watch. I think it's, like you said, it does what you want a low budget actioner at 85 minutes to do.
Exactly.
And I keep shrinking the runtime, but I think that's about what it is with credits. So
yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
I guess that's all my notes I have. So so we have the 2 movies, Detective Night, the second one.
Yeah, whatever the second
Invincible.
Detective Night is. Yeah, because I think Invincible, it's an hour and a half, but I think the Marco Zaror effect. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that movie, and I think granted, I'm probably following Zirilli on
yes, that's perfect.
Instagram. He's probably
watching. I know you're gonna message him, or is that?
No. I've never thought about doing that, like messaging like the director.
I messaged Clint Howard once, and he read it, but
he didn't respond. Yeah,
he didn't respond, but I made a crucial mistake, which was I didn't mention Ice Cream Man. Oh, I did mention Ice Cream Man. I wanted to talk about other stuff than Ice Cream Man.
Oh, right. And
he loves his Ice Cream Man, which is fine. That's great. Goofy movie, by the way. But I mean, like, obviously, it's Clint Howard as an evil Ice Cream Man. What else you're gonna get?
Yeah.
I remember if you can look this up on YouTube, maybe that Clint Howard and Ron Howard are on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Oh, really?
And Kelly Clarkson talks about Ice Cream Man. It's like, so she doesn't know what that is. It's like, what's Ice Cream Man, Clint? Like, Ice Cream Man. Oh, it sounds like Bruce Dern, but Ice Cream Man's a horror movie I did like 20 years ago. It's like, okay. I mean, like, maybe I'll find that again. Look it up. But I see the Drew Barrymore show is back, or it's coming back soon. Remember, she got in trouble a couple weeks ago because she wanted to go, get rid of the strike, or
use scabs. I guess
be a scab. Drew Barry scab. But it's like
exactly
Drew Scab more. I'm not gonna. I know. I just made that up. But it's like, I don't care. You want.
I think she learned quick that like you don't mess with the writers guild, because like, if you watch that Randall Scandal movie,
I wanted to. I just have to sit down and watch Randall Scandals.
yeah. So one of the things they bring up is apparently he was trying to greenlight a show with Arnold Schwarzenegger about like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming up in the weightlifting community in LA.
Like Pumping Iron 2 or something.
Right, like kind of like a period piece, like a TV series is like a period piece that takes place. Yeah,
be all right.
Right. So they were trying to get it. Apparently, what the thing was that they never really had Schwarzenegger involved. Like he's getting like writers and stuff and all this stuff, and he's telling them like, oh yeah, we've got Schwarzenegger. He's on board. He wants to do this and all of that. And then it turned out that like they didn't get Schwarzenegger, and then I guess like the studio was like, we can't do it. And so the writers like, okay, that's great. And they thought they were going to get paid for like what they had done and, what they were expected to do going forward. And Randall's like, well, no, there's no show. I'm not going to pay you anything. And they're like, what do you mean you're going to pay us anything? And so they have like an
scandal.
Right, exactly. They have an arbitration team, which I didn't realize. They have a lawyer that does arbitration. Yeah, and so the arbiter was like, well, yes, of course they should get paid for the work they did. And so he still refused to pay. So they put out a do not work order. And so I don't know what happens when there's like a do not work order where it's like all of the screenwriters in the Screenwriters Guild are told don't work with this person. They get movies made when that happens.
Well,
like
we need Randall Scandal because we need his goofy movies though. We need to work.
Right.
I know he's probably a tough producer to work with.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I still want to make movies with him because it's so ridiculous.
Right, exactly. I mean,
we've been watching his movies.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's like one of the things where like he has to write his own movies or whatever. Like when he was directing
no wonder
the movies.
He's directing Savage Salvation and
the
other one.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Midnight in Switchgrass.
Right. Which that was the one that they said like he was horrible on that one. Like I'm
gonna watch it. It's on Hulu still.
It's on Hulu still. Yeah, it's worth checking out. Like it's a fact. Like
I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'll watch it tonight. Yeah. October 15th, 2023.
Exactly.
I'm putting a date on this when you post this because then I'll remember.
Yes. And one of the things, you're gonna get. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
I'm gonna finally watch it. I say watch it, never watch it.
Obviously, like there's a lot of bad stuff, like bad things that he did. Or I mean, one of the things that he would do is like he would just expect his staff to like spend money out of pocket for things. So he'd be like, I need you to bring this this card table, this for playing poker and stuff. I need you to bring this card table down to like wherever Puerto Rico, where I'm at, from LA, and they would have to. Right, and they would be like having to pay like hundreds of dollars on their credit card to like ship this thing to Puerto Rico for him, and then they never got reimbursed for it. It was like just expected, like, oh, this is what you got to do.
Well, that's the thing about Randall Scandal. I made Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. Right. I do what I want.
Exactly.
Right. I made one really good movie, The Silence with Martin Scorsese.
Right.
I am a powerful producer.
Well, that's what they mentioned that it was the silence. The silence was like the thing that like really made him into like gave him like this credibility that made people want to work with him. And
it's a quality movie, but see, I guess I would rest on that laurel.
Right. Right.
With Scorsese.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Did he help produce The Irishman? I'm not sure. I'll look that up. But
I think he might have. I think you're right. I think he might have. Yeah. I think he was involved with that as well.
If I was Randall Scandal and I had, my claws into Scorsese, like, here, just do what you want.
Right, right, exactly. No, I think it's a very interesting watch. I mean, yes, there's a lot of problematic things that they talk about that,
Well, the Bruce Willis stuff.
Yeah, the Bruce Willis stuff is a little bit tough, and but I think for us watching these movies that he does, we don't really look at it as like Randall Scandal's the best producer ever, and he's so great, we love him and all that. Like we don't look at him that way. We already kind of looking at him as askance. Is that the best way to?
I just look at him with a side eye.
A side eye, right? Exactly. Yeah.
He's been doing side eye stuff for a long time, but. Most of his movies are kind of fun to watch, so I give him a pass because it's like, and he looked like what he looks like too. It's funny.
Right, so right, exactly. Which supposedly the character of Turtle on Entourage is based off of him because he got his start. Yeah, he got his start as an assistant to Mark Wahlberg. So
I did hear about that. Oh, that's why Turtle. Okay, that's funny.
So so supposedly Turtle is like loosely based on him.
That's hilarious. Well, Turtle was annoying.
Right, exactly. Right.
It's like,
Yeah. So it makes sense that Randall Scandal might have been a little bit on the annoying side as well. No. So
but yeah. Let me let you go because I have to do. Another.
Let's do some plugs.
Let's do some plugos though.
Yeah, let's get some plugs in.
Let's see. Okay, ComeuppanceReviews.net, the website, and the podcast on all your favorite podcatchers like iTunes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And then ComeuppanceReviews.net also on Facebook under that website name, and Ty Comeuppance on X, Twitter, whatever, and then Ty Action Rocks is Instagram. I posted, what did I say? Oh, Death House.
Yeah.
John Saxon, AIP movie, not very good. Tawny McClure.
Yeah.
It's kind of messy. It's very messy.
Yeah.
So you think Phoenix is messy? Watch the first 15 minutes of Death House.
Right. Yeah.
No, your head will be spinning.
The thing about AIP messy is that AIP messy had a sense of danger to it, where you're like, oh man, should those people be around those explosions? Right? Like,
I know there are no explosions. Well, this is directed by John Saxon.
Wow.
It's just not as good. The idea is like there's like these zombie prisoners. I mean, it could have been a lot better. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave it the most, and it's also with classic AIP, and I'll let you guys go. Is that I got the screener, so it's property AIP.
Oh yeah.
And this is AIP, so because it's junky, there's another property AIP on top of the other AIP sometimes. So there's two screener things saying that same thing. Like, I can't see the movie. It's like the movie's blocked by these property rights. It's like I should have taken a picture of that. But
that is awesome. I love that.
It's hilarious. Yeah. But I'll let you guys go. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was another great conversation, and
it was fun.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of see what we got coming up in the coming weeks with our next
do Invincible, Detective Night, and then we'll have you on for No Subject Part 9. So we're good. So that'll be fun.
Yeah,
we have 12 funny ideas.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some stuff in the hopper between my podcast and your podcast.
Oh yeah, we got to do Dolph Part 3, right?
Right, we got to do more Dolph. Erotic thrillers. We've got all kinds of stuff.
Oh, we got lots of great stuff. So I want to do erotic thrillers if possible before end of the year because it's been waiting a while.
Yeah.
So maybe you could record that like mid to late November, December for the final one.
So
for the final part of the year.
For everybody listening out there, subscribe to to DTVC podcast on iTunes and subscribe to Comeuppance Reviews podcast on iTunes or wherever you subscribe to podcasts, because you'll catch it the moment we put these out. You'll catch them. So
it was a lot of fun doing this today. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on, and then thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk soon. Bye everyone.